Okay. Marius, very much. You're known as one of the most respected, decorated, knowledgeable pigeon fanciers, and that I don't say lightly, because obviously I mingle with a lot of pigeon fanciers, and not once have I heard a bad word said about you. Obviously, I don't mix with your competitors much.
Thanks very much.
And yeah, thank you for joining us, man. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Big problem to get me here, but you know, when you're over 70, you got to get the false teeth in, your ears on, and your eyes and spectacles. It becomes a problem.
But you managed.
But today, I think I've got everything on. Yeah, I believe I've still got a short.
You've got a short hair there, Marius.
Yeah,
but no, thank you very much. So obviously, there's just talking pigeons. That's what we're going to be doing, and you and I do that a lot off camera anyway. Just to give the viewers a bit of background of Marius Klingbiel, how did it all start? And when did it all start? We're going to go back a few years, but
that goes back when I was still very, very small. 64, I flew my first race. And
your age then?
What was I? 8, 9, 10, 12. Yeah, 12. And interesting name. I just thought, Gordon van Rensburg. He flies in Whitfield. That guy and myself, we grew up around a little park in Primrose. And we had, I think it was 8 youngsters living around the park. And we all had pigeons, and we all organized races from like 10, 15 Ks away and things like that. And eventually there was a club formed, the Duomny Club, ORSA is now, that's 1966, around those years. Yeah. And known as the Duomny Club. It was just a small little organization.
Why the Duomny Club? Why the name?
The Duomny Botha, he's passed away as well. He flew a long time in Pretoria. He was in the army eventually. Okay. And he started this little club, a couple of nice fanciers in amongst them, and for the youngsters, a lot of youngsters we partook there.
So did he obviously move here then from Pretoria? Must have been
no, you know, those years after that, he was, as I say, a minister, went to a couple of other churches, and then eventually ended up in the army. As a Kapalan in the army, and that's where starting one day I was here at the shop, and he walked in. I was flattened. He was an old man already, you know. That's those days. He was a young Duomny, and I was a young man. That's where it started, and then in 75, I actually started flying on my own. 76, 75, 76, I started flying on my own again.
What area was that?
In Boksburg. Yeah, in Boksburg. I stayed in Cinderella. And the big guy that helped me, and I mean literally big, Ivan Kitchebrand. He was
I never met him, Marius, but if you tell us a little bit about him, because he's a legendary name, not only here, but I mean everywhere, anyone you speak to about him.
Ivan, as I called him, the man with the fingers the size of bananas, I tell you.
Was he a big guy?
A very, very big guy. And his big mate, Piet Kitchebrand. They grew up together.
First time I've ever heard that name.
Yeah, Piet Kitchebrand. And Piet was his labourer, but his friend, his buddy. They grew up together.
Yeah.
And him, Koos Nicol, those guys here in Boksburg, they assisted me, and they took me under the wing. You know, that's when you start off with pigeons again.
So I just want to ask you something there, because when I started, which was over 30 years ago, Ivan Kitchebrand was then racing, I think, out in Springs or the Far East Strand or Brack. I don't know. Correct me.
Ivan raced in Boksburg many, many years.
Yeah.
And then he sold his house. He retired.
Yeah.
And he joined somebody in Brakpan. I'm just trying to think his name. And he was like trainer, assisting this guy.
And that's how I got your name, was when he joined Chris Smith then.
And then after that, he stayed by Christmas, and he was training Christmas pigeons.
Yes.
That's when he ended up in the wheelchair already. He was already in the
That's
wheelchair.
when I got to not know him, but knew of
Yeah,
him. Yeah.
the diabetes took his
Yes,
legs,
yes.
and
Yeah.
he ended up in the wheelchair. And I think he was with Chris about 5-6 years before he
It was a
died.
long time, eh?
Yeah, no, it's a good fancier, unreal. He was known, him and Boy Jacobs were, Boy had of the best of the Hermansvierens. He had
And
the Kleine.
willing to help you, or
Ivan helped me. He actually trained a lot of, he schooled me.
yeah.
And an interesting thing, and that's what I want to tell a lot of youngsters,
Yeah.
is go and handle pigeons. Ivan would phone me on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning and said, come visit me. And he'll take me into the stock loft, and we'll handle pigeons and pigeons and pigeons. And fortunately, those were very, very good pigeons. So he showed me and got my hand to actually feel what a good pigeon feels like.
Yeah, very important.
You know, I say that to many a youngster. Go and handle winners. Nowadays, people are scared to go visit people.
Yeah.
We used to, Saturday, after the winner was always, the next Sunday morning, or the Sunday morning, the bird gets tossed. That's one thing that also is no more done.
No more done, yeah.
You go to the Sunday morning and there would be cake and tea.
Yes.
And sometimes it ended up in a bloody braai, which
it
was a long day. But it was that way camaraderie was developed. Guys loved one another. They felt for one another.
Yeah,
Nowadays it's competition. If I can beat you, that's it, you know, type of thing.
Yeah, that's enough.
Where those days it was really helping guys, and oh man, you got a problem here. That's something wrong, and I need to do this. And next day, the guys arrive and they come and help you, and they get this thing done what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
You know, those days were other days, but that's very important. Handle pigeons. Go handle winners. I said that one day to a couple of youngsters. We were standing at a show, and the youngster said to me, how do you know that's a champion or a winner or a good pigeon? And I said to him, you know, I've seen that so many times when a guy at the shop, for instance, looks at a lot of canaries and says, that's a male, that's a female, that's a male, that's a male, and you say, how the devil does this guy know this? And I always quote that. I say to the youngsters, I say, how long did it take you to realize what is a cock and which is a hen, without seeing the cock strutting and pronking and going around? And the guys will say, oh, it took me 3 years and I still make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'll laugh at them and I'll say, yeah, when you've handled pigeons all your life, it's not a trick to see which is a cock and a hen. That's obvious.
Yeah.
But you've specialized to such an extent that you can say which is a good one, which is the bad one.
Yes.
Without handling the pigeon, you can actually see certain qualities.
But getting onto that, which I was going to ask you anyway now, so we're moving on to the handling of the birds. You got your colors for showing as well.
Yeah, that was the first color. Well, the first colors was my show scroll.
Yeah.
That I got. I think it was
that?
in 81. I got my scroll, and then I got my judges' colors in 83. Okay. I think 83. It was around the early 80s.
Early 80s.
Yeah.
80s. And I wanted to ask your opinion on that because when I started getting into the sport, the shows were a big thing. And Marius used to go to, either we had the Benoni show, we had the Rand Easter show, at the agricultural section, we had that youth show. That all seems to have died. Why do you think that is, and how do we revive that? Because it was part of the calendar for us.
That is a very, very important part of the pigeon racing. That is just before the season normally, when the birds have all just come out of the molt or just finally finishing the molt.
Yes.
Those days, we had shows all over the country, and somebody had to drive it. And it was, first of all, you have to have somebody at a certain area, venue, Eastern Transvaal. Abuta Hagaman is doing a lot of work at the moment to get the East Rand,
Who's that?
Buta Woman.
Ah, okay.
Down, he's in...
Where is he based?
I think he's in Bethel.
Okay.
That area, the old Eastern Transvaals. We used to go there there was normally like 2 shows in that area. Ermelo, Standerton, Nick van der Linde, old late Nick. He used to run a big show, big setup as well in Standerton. And those days, I used to travel with Silas and Dries. Either one of the two or both of them will say, come Shortas, you get into the car with us, you're going to help us, you're going to be steward. And that's where I learned a hell of a lot. I learned a lot from Silas on the Pigeon itself as well. He showed me a lot.
So you obviously knew Silas well as well?
Very, very, very
Dries
well.
Kruger?
Dries Kruger, very, very well. I travelled many kilometres with Dries.
Terence Connolly?
Yeah, Terence, Monty van der Berg.
Monty van der Berg?
Puna Miller.
Yes,
Old Feilbaard, Rassie Erasmus, I call him Feilbaard. Well, the poor man's passed on now already. It's not Rassie from Kroonstad.
Yes,
It's, as we say, Feilbaard Rassie. He stayed in Klerksdorp. And we used to do a lot of shows out in Noupoort, Hanover, not Hanover, what's that area, Craddock. We used to stay in the school.
Okay.
In Graaf Reinet, we did shows.
So the shows were all over the country?
That's it. And the nice part was that normally the travel group was myself, Monty, Puna Miller, and Feilbaard Rassie. And we'll travel down to Craddock. Now, you know, that's 8 hours, 10 hours drive.
Yeah.
And what do you do, 10 hours? Well, what we ended up doing is we'll take 2, 3 pigeons in a box next to us, and we'll be driving down Craddock, and we'll discuss this pigeon, and we'll take the good points and the bad points. And
I want you to tell us the story about when you, I think it was you said with Vernon Johnson.
yeah.
So you were traveling down and you thought you had kidney stones. Tell us.
No, that was a trip. That was a Upington trip. Now, Upington,
So Vernon also was a judge, obviously.
Vernon, good judge as well.
Yeah.
Old Vernon, his solution to any problem was obviously not a can of beer. It was a crate of beer. And what happened is the morning before I left to go to Vernon, I had a pipe leaking on the farm, and I bent down and I actually strained myself without knowing it.
Yeah.
And I put this pipe, collected it properly and what have you. Got into the car, and this back pain of mine, I said, what the hell is happening here? And when I got to Old Vernon, those days I was staying out in Heidelberg. Yeah. And got to Vernon, I said, Vernon, I've got a back pain. He said, what? I said, well, I hope not. Or he said, no, I hope not, it's a kidney stone. I said, oh shit, yeah. Sorry for the word, but there you go. I said, oh dear, that is a bit of a problem. So Vernon said, that's no problem. I said, kidney stones, he's got the answer. And I think it was the first time we stopped, we picked up a crate of beer. And I had beers. And Vernon, of course, he's used to drinking a lot of beers. I was going quite happy, merrily along. And when we got to Olifantshoek, we realized that we're not going to make a doctor in time in Upington. Well, Upington, 800 k's. It's a long drive.
It's a hell of a drive.
And we phoned to the organizer there, and what's his name? Andre Nel. And he organized, then I said, we're not going to be there in time, but if you can just get me some pain pills and what have you. When I arrived, as we got into Upington, they said, come, doctor's waiting for you. Off we go to the doctor. But now, you must remember, that's a crate of beer behind a very clever little man. Ended up at the doctor's rooms, and the doctor said to me, sit down. I said, yeah, no, lekker. So I said to the doctor, I think I've got kidney stones. He looked at me, and he saw, obviously, a very, very clever patient in front of him, and he said to me, hang on, go lay down on the bed. Feel there, saw there, no, okay, fine. He did a blood test or a glucose test, and he said, okay, come here. He said, sit down. At the little school desk, the doctor sat on the other side. He said, first of all, who's your house doctor? I said, oh, Dr. So-and-so and so. He said, okay. Started writing a letter. He says, now listen carefully. Your back problem is not a big problem. That's just a strained nerve in your back or strained little muscle. That we're going to fix up very quickly. But your big problem is you're a diabetic.
You fortunately found out.
Yeah, I thought, of course, it was funny. And I told him, nah, man. He says, on the bed, injection. He says, okay, you'll be 100% okay. But you must go, and Monday morning, when you go back, you go see your doctor with this letter. Got you, and then I was diagnosed diabetic. And since then I'm taking insulin and all that unfortunate things.
Yeah.
And
the beer seemed to have worked for the kidney stones.
well, yeah,
yeah.
Johnson's remedy, but it works.
Yeah.
It was a good trip. Me and Vernon and old Kasmatia, we've done many kilometers. Dola was driving, and Old Kas would every now and then shout, "Pit stop," and we'll jump out. And Kas would come up to our side, have a quick sneak. And Dola couldn't work out where Old Kas could get so drunk by the time we got to Upington. But that was good fun. It was all done in good
All
spirit.
good memories, eh? So
Very, very good memories.
why do you think it's died down now?
I think the drivers are not there. The people that were driving the shows and were really pushing for that. Like the Uppington show was normally with their agricultural show as well.
Okay.
And it was big. On the farming communities, that was a very big part of showing.
Yeah.
I was involved for a little while with the youth show in Balfour, which was, I think this was the Eastern Transvaal, where I believe it, I had to judge chickens. And you should see the effort that these youngsters go in on chickens, and then they have a small little section for pigeons.
Yeah.
And how they prepare the pigeon, how much they know about pigeons. It's not just a question of showing a chicken or a pigeon. They had to know what to feed the pigeon, what medicines are given, at what time, especially on the chicken side, your vaccinations and things like that, which was very, very interesting. And I thought, if we could only promote this and get this to go right out of, everybody. But that is a farming thing.
It's a community thing.
The city life.
Yeah.
Youngsters are nowadays sitting on a cell phone.
Is that also, Marius, and also I think, for myself, I can speak, growing up, it was a lot in the streets. So you're visiting this guy who had budgies, and that guy who had chickens, and that guy who had pigeons and rollers and racing. Kids are just not allowed in the streets anymore.
That's the first problem. And the thing is, we had everything. We had chickens, as you say, budgies, canaries, you name it. Snakes, well, that wasn't my favorite, but everybody had that.
Yeah.
And the very, very important part of it, it taught you responsibility.
Yeah.
You had to be home by that time to feed the chickens.
Yeah.
The chickens had to have clean water.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, if my dad said to me, if I come home and the water is dirty, you're going to drink it.
Yeah, yeah.
My dad, the pigeons were always, the water was clean.
Yeah.
And that is very, very important today. The kids, I'm sick and tired of this game, just switch it off.
Yeah.
Where there's no responsibility, there's no people working with animals, husbandry. That type of thing doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Lots
of people live in townhouse complex for security reasons, and
that's it.
That kind of thing that the kids don't have the animals in the backyard and like they used to.
Yeah. You knew what a chicken feather feels like.
Yeah.
You knew exactly what a mouse goes.
Yeah.
We had rats.
Rats. Yeah.
that
Red
was
rats,
also my mom. When I walked in with a rat, it wasn't long because the rat died by accident. I'm sure she stepped on it.
Or hamsters. A lot of kids had hamsters.
Yeah.
Hamsters
and guinea pigs.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think that responsibility, the kids don't want it nowadays. It's computers or cell phones, but there's some way we've got to try and revive
get them back into nature. Get them, playing with things that are nature. Realize what a dog. Nowadays a lot of people don't see a dog the way I see a dog. Dog to me is is a buddy.
Yeah.
Those days, your dog was your, hey,
Sure.
man, that was
Big friend.
you know, and
Yeah.
it was a small little dog, but it had the heart of a lion
Yeah.
because the old man was supporting him, you know, type of thing.
Yeah, so I think that's where it's all gone wrong a bit, but I think the shows are starting to try and make a comeback.
Correct. There's Rona is doing a hell of a big effort from Sampo side,
yeah.
and I do appreciate what she's doing. There's a lot of things that the wheel has to be reinvented in many cases. You know, if you look at the Rand Easter show those years, or the Witwatersrand Rand Agricultural Show, one section, the Youngbird Bluebell Cocks, 123, 140 pigeons, just in that section.
The young bluebell cocks.
It was an effort to judge those classes.
How did you guys go about then? Obviously, I wasn't around then when the judging took place. How did you go around qualifying judges or getting?
Okay, yeah,
judges
that is one thing that
another thing we obviously
I do have a bit of a problem with today. Those days, the opportunity was there to judge many shows before you get to national shows. And I did that for 3 years, that I travelled the whole of South Africa.
Without being qualified?
Without being qualified, that I had to just be a steward. And
steward, that's right.
Eventually, then Silas would say, listen, do that class, I want to come and see what you've done. And you'll give me 10, 15 pigeons to judge. And he'll come after me and he'll have a look and see what I've done and how I'm doing it and what have you. And
you see, you got the opportunity.
He actually showed you, and he actually showed you where you made a mistake. Did you see that? You know, I was at the last show, and I think one of the senior guys, ready to qualify, didn't know how to open the tail of a pigeon properly.
Sure.
You know, and I realized that.
But those are just basic stuff.
Those are very basic things that should have been showed to the gentleman. And nothing wrong with it. Now he knows. And he'll be a better person or a better judge.
For sure.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that became judges that I don't agree with, because I don't think they've got the experience to be called a judge. And that's now a very big statement.
Just on that though, are there enough judges, qualified judges in your opinion?
No, they're no more. The good judges are gone. You know, they're not gone. They died. They retired. They're out of the game.
Out of the game, yeah.
You know, of the very few old original judges, I think, if I think, Johan King, Mark King's father.
Yes. Yourself?
The old people that used to be, Puna, he's got dementia. Those were excellent judges. Kasmatier, excellent judge. And what I mean excellent, it's not a question of today, Blue Bar one wins. Next
Consistency.
week at Pigeon will be the winner again. And the scoring, that's one thing that is a very, very big problem. The guys will run out of score because they start with, they haven't got a set where they should start off. And you'll suddenly find that the pigeons are winning with 90 points and things like that. It's because somewhere along the line, he pegged his level wrong. And then he actually runs out of scale. And that's a problem. What I always say, consistency. Raymond Massey, there was another guy that used to show excellent.
He was probably the best, one of the best ever.
That's it. And Raymond, one thing that he quoted one day was, he said, he had Kasmatier, myself, Puna, and there was another one. And he showed us that over 4 years, the 4 judges was half a point different on that pigeon over 4 years.
That's amazing.
Now that is, to me,
proper judging.
that is judging. That means the same things were seen and the same problems were noted, or the same good points were noted. And they were all scored the same.
If you had to give Rona or Sampo, but Rona's running, pushing it, a tip on how to get this to the next level.
It's a major problem. But like any big rock, just keep chipping away. Just keep chipping away. Eventually you'll get through.
Yeah.
And that's what my advice to them is. You're doing a great job. Just keep on doing it.
Okay.
And eventually there'll be people standing up and saying, okay, we're going to drive this. But we got to get somebody now in the Western Transvaal. We got to get somebody down in the Free State. We got to get somebody in the town that's driving this. And it's not easy, because that's a job.
It's a job.
It's a job that you got to, just to get a proper hall set up and getting the show judge baskets there. That's a major problem.
For sure.
And the thing is, with the shows at the moment, those days everybody showed. Nowadays you say to a guy, show pigeons, and he says to you, I'm not a show pigeon fancier, I'm a race pigeon fancier.
Yeah.
And that's another big bugbear of mine.
Yeah.
The pigeon that won, not this last show, the one before that, the previous show, Best Bird on Show, was not a club winner. It was an actual division winner, a whole union winner.
Okay.
Belonged to Gunther Iber.
Good fancier.
Yeah. Old Gunther's father down in the Free State used to be, I say, even a better fancier. But yeah, it's that is the problem. People think there's a difference between a good show pigeon. The show qualities that are judged are racing qualities.
Racing quality. I think that's important to mention, because a lot of guys get mistaken, which I was early on in my career. You know, in the British magazines, they have the show racer, which is completely a different pigeon altogether.
Can hardly fly up to the roof.
Yes, so I was always convinced, that's why I wasn't too keen on the shows, but later on you learned that there were different categories, and if you can mention some of the categories, I'm not
All right, first of all, you got your stock birds, your breeding class.
Yeah.
Then you have your racing classes, and then you have your open classes. Now, open classes is for pigeons that you're not sure if it's a racer or a breeder, and then you have the winner classes, and then you have the yearling classes. Okay, so and then
is that split
within a class,
as well, or?
within the class, you have your color differentiation, your blue bars, checkers, and your any other color, your red and your grizzles and all those things. And then on the winner classes, you have your distance, under 500, above 500 kilometers.
Okay.
So you call it, let's say, middle distance, short distance, or short and long distance, and split that way.
Yeah.
And then your yearlings is just a color split again. Pigeons showing, people don't realize, but the qualities that are measured is, first of all, the appearance of the pigeon. That is, it must look like a racing pigeon. No good putting a show pigeon there.
Yes.
It will look like a show pigeon or a tumbler.
Yeah.
It could be the most beautiful little pied tumbler. Yeah. That's not a racing pigeon. The appearance is wrong.
Yeah.
Then I haven't got now a card in front of me, but another thing is the wing. Now that I don't want to go into a whole lecture on the quality of wings.
That could take us the whole day.
That can take us a long time.
Yeah.
But the main thing to remember on wings are curvature on wings, louver on wings.
Give us a little bit of hint on that curvature. I understand the louver and I understand the cover, but what do you say curvature?
Okay, first of all, a wing is an aerofoil.
Yeah.
So you need a wide shoulder.
Yeah.
You need a curve on it.
Okay.
Because that is the aerofoil.
Yeah.
If that wing is flat, it's not an aerofoil anymore. You need the curve. Okay. And that's why when you look at a pigeon sitting on a perch, and it sits with that shoulders
Yes,
broad,
yes, yes.
that gives you a very good indication of already that bird's wing shape.
Okay.
And or I always say the bird's got to have teeth. No good having a wing that's open and flat and bent up,
Yeah, yeah.
because that's rubbing the air.
Yeah.
And my theory on flight is totally different to a lot of people. I believe a pigeon actually creates a wave on which he glides, and he doesn't take the air, compress it against his body and pushes himself forward. It's not that way. Not at all.
So what do you say?
Okay. What I say is, I flew with old Ian de Vos in the chopper,
Yeah.
on the very first Sky Comrades race.
Yes. Ian de
And we
Vos.
flew,
I remember him from the news. He used to do the traffic on the news.
that's it. And we flew, we lifted up at Carlsberg or Garib Dam.
Yeah.
And then the liberation happened, and we could see it. And then the birds were running back to Brakpan, at Sky Comrades, where the old carnival lofts were.
yeah.
And we followed the birds right up to Bloemfontein. Two things that the chopper didn't bother those pigeons at all.
I was going to ask you, didn't scare the birds?
That was the funniest, well, not funny, but strangest part of the experience.
Yeah.
The birds would be flying that you could actually feel like you could take him out the air. You know, he was like 5 meters, 10 meters away.
Sure.
The chopper didn't bother them at all. That's the first thing. The second thing is, the birds would be down flying, let's say rooftop level, and we would be up kilo, maybe. And the next minute, this pigeon, you actually see the pigeon just lift, and it's next to you, flying out next to the chopper. Crazy. And you look at this and you say, but how did that happen? And the other thing is, if you've ever flown in a small plane, that's the bumpiest ride. It's not flying in a jumbo.
No.
Get that out of your mind. It's a bumpy ride. It bumps you all. It's like riding on a corrugated road.
Yeah.
That is the same thing that's happening to pigeons. While that pigeon is flying, he's moving up and down and going along. It shows you there's air pockets and there's movement of air. And
well, the different temperatures of air, different
that's it. And
times,
this rising air caused that pigeon just to go right up. And you would find this whole line of pigeons flying next to the chopper, and the next minute, one would be moving forward. And it's just because he gets that little bit of an extra lift or that, and they will do this all the time. It's not a question of one is sitting there in the front and like a lot of ducks in a row, they all behind this one. It's not that. They're all flying home.
Yeah.
And not one is looking at the other one saying, okay, bump you a little bit, type of thing. Nothing at all. They just straight ahead. Straight ahead. No, that was a very interesting.
So your theory on the flight then? Getting back to that?
Right, back to that. Then I noticed this pigeon, your primary wing and your secondary wing.
Yeah.
Now, your secondary wing is the part in the next to the body.
Yeah.
That is the wing that they fly on. That's the aerofoil. And that part of the wing,
So
normally,
that's the one that keeps them in the air then?
yeah, and that normally stands basically dead still. There's no compression or anything like that on the wing. It's basically standing still. And the wing tips is doing that. It's rolling. Okay. And you look at that and then you say, but hang on, where's this theory of flying, this wing compressing air and it's not doing it? And that's where the other thing comes in. A pigeon, when a pigeon flies, it's walking. Me and you, as fit and fat and ugly as what we are, can walk to Cape Town. As long as we get water and food along the road. We will eventually end up in Cape Town.
Yeah.
If we have to run to Cape Town, you're a little bit fitter than me, but we're not going to get much further than Boksburg. No. And we'll be stopped running. And that's the other thing.
Unless we get chased.
Unless we get chased, and then I don't think that we'll give up before we get anything further. And that's the other thing with a pigeon.
Yeah.
A pigeon flies or runs only when a hawk or something is chasing him. Otherwise, he's just walking. And that's where Wim Peters' theory of the natural speed of the pigeon, toch snelheid, I think was the word he used.
Yeah.
The speed that he normally just goes
So his average speed.
is his average speed.
Yeah.
And this one, yeah, with a longer wing and a bigger wing, and has got a different average
Yeah.
speed. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when you walk, and that's why I believe, unfortunately, the SPCA think we are chasing those pigeons. They're not chased. They're not. They're walking home.
At a comfortable speed. Whatever's comfortable for them.
Comfortable for them.
Yeah.
And that's why certain races favor certain pigeons, because the tailwind, with the shape of his body and the shape of his tail and the shape of the wing, he is capable of moving faster with the wind. And it's the same thing.
So then what you're saying is then there are horses for courses then?
Exactly. There
If
are
it's-
horses for courses, but
if
there's a average in the middle
Yes.
that will go
Either way.
either way.
Yeah.
But yes, you can get an extreme short distance,
Yeah.
and you can get an extreme
Long
long distance. And the extreme short distance will definitely not capable go on the long distance. But you would find that a long distance pigeon
Yeah.
will actually win a short distance race.
Can do that.
There, but
Yeah.
not the other way
Not
around.
the other way around.
And another theory, Ben van us, well, we were also very, very big friends. We stayed in Kempton Park, we stayed about a kilo.
He's also an author, I think.
Yeah, he's also a very, very good fancier.
I never knew him, but it's very well known. Yeah.
Known for ultra distance flying, Mikey's Fontaine,
Yeah.
flying Belleville in the Cape.
Sure.
And there's a couple of things there. He experimented with flying pigeons down in a plane, basket them, fly them down, and then liberate them in Belleville the next morning. And believe it or not, not one returned. They don't like the flight at all.
Oh, is it?
Either it was the air pressure in the
Something went
plane. It could have been a lot of other things, but that didn't work out at all. They didn't.
Not one made it up.
None one made it up. And that's unfortunately, okay, it's ultra distance.
Yeah. Belleville, how
that-
far is it? 1,500? 1,300?
It's about 1,300, yeah.
1,300, yeah.
He flew Malmesbury. That was one of the races. And, well, many a time, as Ben used to put it, he says, on those ultra distances, you get a pigeon that comes home 10, 15% of the loft that you sent there. Unfortunately, not all of them can do it.
What's your opinion on these that we don't fly them anymore, on these ultra distances from
Hang
my
on,
kids?
hang on. There, you start getting pigeons now, really pigeons for that. If you look at Monty van der Berg one day remarked at me, he says, if you look at the original old Weggy pigeons, which were known for flying 1,200, 1,000 miles, 1,600 kilometers, those were the distances those pigeons flew. They were totally flimsy.
How do you mean? What do you mean?
They
flimsy?
had they never had a major body muscle structure, muscle man type of thing. They were a Bruce Forder.
Unlike the sprinters we got
Skinny.
today.
Very, very frail pigeons.
Yeah.
Big soft vents. And that's the one thing that he explained to me one day, and I said, you're 100% right. A pigeon breathes air, but he hasn't got a lung that expands in many a way. He's got a muscle chest that drives these wings. And there's no expansion. The only thing where he can expand is at the vent,
Yes.
where the vent would actually become a bellows.
Yes.
And that's what pumps the air. Now, a pigeon breathes in. It goes through the lungs. Then it goes to the air sacs. And the air sacs, a pigeon is 90% hollow, if you think of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Even the bones.
The
That's
bones
why
are
a
hollow.
pigeon can
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah.
Is hollow. There's a lot of air cavities in a pigeon,
100%,
air sacs.
yeah.
And that's why a pigeon becomes so very, very buoyant when it becomes in condition. It feels full and round, but it's
No
light
weight,
as
yeah.
anything. Now, okay, that bellows, as it pulls that air through the lungs right into the air sacs. When it breathes out, it pumps fresh, basically once used air through the lungs again. So with every breath a pigeon takes, he gets twice oxygenated air into the blood. And that's why they become so efficient. They can fly. Now, that's where your problem is also. If you get any disease, and which is now happening lately, air sacs, infection in air sac. Now, an air sac is very similar to a bladder. There's no blood supply, nothing in that area. So if you get fungus or anything start multiplying in that air sac, that becomes a dead area. And it's very, very difficult to treat any disease in the air sac.
Can't cure it, or
There's no antibiotic that can get to it to kill it.
Okay.
Because there's no blood supply.
Yes.
So that becomes a very, very difficult thing. My theory, yes, there's a product called Mentorship, which is what do they call it? Essential oils, eucalyptus oil, and those type of things that actually gets that mucus and that monk and what have you out of the lungs. Get it out, or out of the air sacs. But that is one of the biggest difficulty in pigeons, to clean that and keep that going. Because once it gets in there, you're in trouble.
Now, a lot of guys say the same about paratyphoid, Marius. What's your point of view on
paratyphoid? Causes a problem in the joints.
Yes.
You get the swelling of the joints.
Yes.
And what happens is it closes up the wing. It becomes a dead wing. You've seen a pigeon hurt its wing.
Yeah.
It gets banged or somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
And you actually end up with a pigeon, the wing, when it sits on the perch, it's perfect. But when it flies, you can see that wing is not working the way as the other wing does.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a dead wing. That air sac area fills up with moisture, fluids and what have you. And it becomes a dead wing. I've seen pigeons win races with a dead wing. But he won't win on 600 and 800 kilometers. But that wing is dead, and it will be dead forever.
Is it dead
and that's
forever?
why paratyphoid and all that type of thing closes up parts of the wing, closes up certain areas.
So you have the opinion then, like a lot of guys say, if it's a paratyphoid carrier, they call it, it's incurable and it's not good anymore. For breeding purposes, I'm saying.
If it becomes a carrier, but I think there's a lot of antibiotics nowadays that they can actually. Your problem is we pigeon fanciers are all looking for quick cures.
Yeah.
And paratyphoid and that type of thing, it's a 10-day treatment. And
nothing shorter than that.
And pigeon fanciers, after 3 days, it looks good. Now I can fly it.
Yeah.
And what happens? It gets
lost. We're all vets, pigeon fanciers.
Yeah.
We're all doctors.
That's quite true. And mixing of medicines. Oh. Don't talk to me about that. Big friend of mine, chemist, pharmacist, pharmaceutical chemist, industrial, and he always just shook his head because some of the stuff that was combined was working against each other. You could just as well just pour it down the drain, but this is the muti. I tell you, that muti, I want to stress that, and I want to say that. And I hope everybody, I can't speak in capital letters, but if I could speak in capital letters, there is no medicine that makes pigeons win. Good pigeons win races. Healthy pigeons win races. You cannot give a pigeon a tablet and win Saturday. That's bullshit. Doesn't work that way. Good pigeons win.
Bottom line.
Bottom line, full stop.
So you can't take a pigeon that's average and make him win a race?
No.
Not going to happen.
If that average pigeon, or let's put it that way.
Let's say he's below average that he's racing against. He's not going to win if he's on a special medication.
If he's healthy and he's below average, he's below average. If he's a very good pigeon and he's sick, take yourself. You are going to have a nice run today, but you've got a headache there's a little man with a 6-pound hammer knocking the hell out of your head. How far are you going to run?
No, you're not.
And that's the same problem. But take the headache away and you'll run. You'll be 100%.
But what's your standpoint then on these banned substances that we're getting tested for? You think they make a difference then if it's still good pigeons?
There's certain things like painkillers and things like that. First of all, any person is a machine. It's just the machine that runs. And the minute you take the oil away, it's going to seize up.
Yeah.
And pigeons are the same thing. If you're going to take the pain away, it will carry on. You must remember, we are using one of those instincts, going home. We have improved it in many a slighter way. But motivation of pigeons, that is another day's discussion we can have on how to motivate pigeons. But a pigeon just goes home. And if you take the pain away, he'll carry on going home until he can't. And that's why sometimes you get a pigeon coming home and you'll sit there and you look at him and say, "Oh boy, you've really flew your heart out." And the next morning he'll be dead.
Yeah.
Because he's, first of all, you as a human being will run and you'll lose your reserves. After your reserves, what happens is you start burning fiber. Now, the next thing, first of all, your nerves, your brain and all that is fat. And that is your next thing that you start burning. And eventually, he actually dies because he's burnt himself out. And that burnout is because the fats in his bodies are now totally depleted.
So what you're saying, there are medicines that can make him fly through that pain threshold.
He'll carry on.
He'll carry on and on and
because
on. Because
his instinct going home is stronger than his body's pain. He won't, normally he'll stop. But because you kill that threshold, he'll just carry on.
He'll carry on forever.
He'll fly and fly until he dies.
Yeah. So and that's not necessarily health that's involved there.
Cramp. That's another problem with old age.
Stretch it out.
Yeah. Okay. No, that happens.
Yeah. So basically it's, you say that, Marius, but you know how few people come to have their birds tested here on a Sunday?
Oh, but hang on, that's another one. That's another one. You can test for the basic things.
The basic
things, crop canker, coccidiosis. Those are two things that are quite prevalent in pigeons
100%.
All the time.
Yeah.
It's the level of the disease that's causing more the problem, and coccidiosis is all over. Yeah. And when it gets more than the level, a certain level, then it starts depleting other things.
Yes.
Vitamin B and all that type of thing starts going. And that's where your problem arises.
Yeah.
Crop canker is the digestion and the other problems with the medical side of pigeons that doesn't work. It starts going haywire. Once those things are in control, malaria, pigeon malaria.
Another one.
It's another one. It's the red cells are not capable of carrying the amount of oxygen. And those things can be tested for. But once those things worms, that's another one.
Yeah.
Now, all those things are what Rob and them are testing Saturdays.
Yeah.
If those things are, then he'll many a time tell you, there's nothing wrong. I can't find anything on the pigeon. And that is the basic things.
Yeah. But a lot of guys look past those basics because I tell you, some guys come in here, they mention or they name antibiotics. That sounds like they've got their doctorate.
Yeah. No, I'll just shake my head.
Long names like this, and I'm just thinking,
No. The other big problem is a lot of people are not reading labels. And I mean that so serious because I've used this, I've used that, and I'm still sitting with crop canker. But what have you used? I've used this and this and this and this. I said, yeah, but what have you used? What do you mean? I said, you've used the same thing. You are not, you are, the disease that you got is immune to the product you're using to fight it with. But you're using the same thing over and over and over again, but you're reading the label. Yeah. You're reading the name of the product, and it's all the same thing.
Very interesting that you mentioned that. I want to mention an example that happened here at the shop on Sunday when the doc was testing. So he tested a guy's birds, and he said to the guy, actually come look here, because you got the screen up.
Yeah.
He says, your birds are full of canker. Guy says, but I did canker this week. So the doc says, what did you give? He says, I gave flagell. So the doc says, okay, how many grams per bird did you give? Because I think it's
200 grams.
Yeah, it's 200 grams in a tablet, am I right? So you got to give a
quarter
tablet.
Quarter tablet. Quarter tablet.
So he says, no, I crushed 4 tablets and I put it over the food. So the doc says, but how many grams did each bird get then? He says, I don't know. He says, some birds might have got 5 grams, some might have got 50. He says, you don't know. He says, you can never treat canker on the food like that. No. Canker, you got to put in the water to the dosage or down the throat to the dosage. And the guy was actually shocked. Doc said, I'm telling you, that's the only way you can give canker.
Exactly. And then he's using metronidazole.
Yeah.
Or just use go and get seconazole, go and zanidazole, which is different. It's actually a very small difference if you look at the formula.
Yeah.
It's the movement of the chemical structure. But you got to change, and you can't just use one product all the time. Read the labels.
Yeah.
And do not just mix anything.
Yeah.
That's, to me, one of the biggest problems. A lot of the products work, but you got to know how much of what you got to put in.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of the stuff that I look at people, I kicked the cupboard. 5 bottles fell out. I mixed all 5 together, and Saturday I had a major race.
Yeah.
I'll just shake my head.
Yeah, just leave it at that. But going back, Marius, I'm very nostalgic when it comes to pigeon stories and pigeon strains and pigeon people. So I want to go back on some of your major achievements, and then what birds they were and how you got those birds, because those are some of the old strains from some of the top fanciers. And some major achievements that you've had, some that just come to mind.
All right. Well, let's start off. I started off and I went to John Hula.
Yeah, I remember him in the Farmers Weekly when I was in the army. I used to read
John Hula was after Kippen.
Yeah.
When Kippen passed away, John Hula.
It was always John C. Hula.
John C. Hula, that's it. He basically started collecting slimmer putteries and slimmers.
Yes.
Slimmer, he wanted slim boer crossed boerenhen, slimmer cock with a boerenhen. Yeah. And he tried to get that together. And he kept them together, and he inbred them and side bred them and what have you. And he did the similar thing with the putteries. Okay. Kippen did the similar thing with the putteries, and then he brought in the
Just you mentioning names, did you know these guys?
I never met Kippen, though I grew up maybe 2 kilometers away from him, and I never knew he
Kippen was a Malvern guy.
Kippen was in Bedfordview.
Bedfordview, yeah.
That's it. And I grew up on the koppie on top of Bedfordview. That's where I grew up. Yeah. And I knew of Kippen as that was the
name, man.
That was the very, very rich, best pigeon fancier ever. Look, Kippen was known to collect and pay for whatever he wanted. And in any case, out of that, after Kippen, Hula put these birds together. And I went and I bought babies from him. And I bought a total of 46 pigeons.
Where was he based in, Marius?
In Bedford. He stayed in Kippen's house.
Oh, did he stay there?
Okay. He was in Malvern originally. Okay. Not Malvern, Lambton in Germany. Yeah. And then he moved to Kippen's house when he bought Kippen's house. Okay. And that's where the Kippen lofts were. Okay. And I'll say maybe the loft of that year's 1950, 1960.
I remember pictures of Kippen in that long white coat in front of the loft.
That's the picture normally that was, well, that was the old days. The pigeon loft, you never went into a pigeon loft.
Without a dust coat.
You had your dust coat on.
Yeah.
And Out of those 46, there was a little black white flight hen, which was a putri hen, and a black white flight slimmer hen. The slimmer hen flew me a 6 Brits down. And I went to Hula one day. Well, then the black white flight putri hen bred me a blue bar baby. And it was a very unusual pigeon. Now, that is now also something unfortunately, because I grew up with pigeons, I don't look at a pigeon and it becomes a blue bar or just a blue bar. I could actually see this pigeon. It's got a different head shape. She had a bit of a broad head, but she had a different head, and it was a longish head. And I looked at this pigeon, why do you look like that? Then her sister won me 2 races in a row in the East Rand Specialist Club. And I went to Hula, and I said to him, I want this dark check white flight putri hen. I want to buy her father and mother. Now we're talking 76. Hula said to me, I cannot allow you to go into this loft and catch every blue bar cock until you get the blue bar that you want. I said to him, Ron Cocking, he's still alive. He'll tell you the same story. He'll tell you this.
He's changed to rollers now, I think.
Yeah,
So he comes here, yeah.
Okay, Ron
Yeah.
Cocking, Dave Gilbert's father, Dave himself, we went to Hula that day. And John said, no, I can't do that. I was a good friend of his at that stage already because I bought so many pictures with him. A good what you call it, customer. I said to him, John, what do you charge for a stock bird? And he said to me, 400 Rand. Now,
400?
400 Rand is a month and a half salary those days. It's a good salary.
Yeah.
And I looked at the pigeon loft and I looked at this and I said to him, John, I'll tell you what. I got you a deal. We'll go to the loft and I'll catch 3 pigeons. If that 3 pigeons doesn't have the cock in, if it's not one the cock that I want, then I'll take one of the 3. And he said, that's a deal. So I'm just going to catch 3 pigeons. I said, that's a deal. We went to the loft, Ron Cocking, Trevor Gilbert, myself, and we stood. I said, no, just stand still. Let's just look. And the loft must have been, Kippen's loft was a deep loft. It must have been about 8 meters deep.
How many birds in this loft now?
150 birds, if not more. And that was, there was 2 lofts of cocks, putri cocks, 2 lofts of slimmer cocks, 2 lofts of slimmer hens, 2 lofts of slimmer putri cock hens. I said, I want the father and the mother. He says, no, the hen is gone. He knows she's he sold her a year or 2 ago already. Yeah. She's not there anymore. But she was a very old hen. And she was, I think, two generations, or just a generation. Yeah, her grandmother was the queen. That's how close to the old putries were.
Originals, yeah.
Which was, Queen was a daughter of 475.
Yeah.
So, in any case, but this blue cock fascinated me, this hen. I said, the cock is going to have a long head and he's going to have a broad head. And he's going to look like, I saw the hen and I said, she must look like her grandfather. So I'm standing at the loft and I look, and I look, and I look, and I look, and I look. I said, okay, that cock up there, catch him. Now, Ron Cocking, very few people know, but Ron Cocking used to be a great athlete. He played hockey, very, very high level. Okay. He ran with Paul Nash.
Sure. He
was quick.
Yeah.
So Ron Cocking jumps up and he catches this cock. And what number are you looking for? I can't even remember anymore. I think it's 1073. Took the ring, look. He says, no, it's not 1073. I said, just hold him. And I turned around now to look for the second pick.
Yeah.
He says, hang on, it's double rung. Yes, it's him.
That was it.
John Hula looked at me. He says, I've never ever seen anybody do that. I've never ever seen a person go into a loft like that and pick that pigeon. So I took the pigeon, and the whole loft was built around him. But I must admit, when it came to the slimmers, I wanted the slimmer cock and hen as well.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said to me, I've seen what you've done, but you can go in and you can go catch. And it took me more than 10 pigeons to catch the slimmer cock, but I got him as well.
Okay.
And then both the hens, I couldn't get the hens.
Yeah.
Then one day I got to him and he said to me one afternoon, he said to me, there's a pigeon there in a basket. Can you just please kill it? And I said, what's wrong with it? He says, no, she's finished. The cocks, the birds are standing on her and what have you.
Shame, yeah.
I went to the basket, took the hen out, and I looked. I said, "This is the hen I've been looking for. This is a mother to the slimmer hen."
Yeah.
I said, "I can't kill her. I want her." He says, "If you want her, you pay me for her." And I had to pay the price of a baby for her.
Did you get anything out of it?
And she stayed in the house for 3 weeks in my spare bedroom in the house.
Shame.
I fed her, I helped her, and she came
Recovered.
right, and she still bred me 4 or 5 babies.
Okay.
Those days, very interesting thing. A lot of people were anti-hula and said, there's a lot of rubbish, a lot of nonsense, pigeons and what have you. Then I met Nick Hutton.
Yes. I raised many
You
years
guys
with
know
him,
Nick.
Yeah.
He was still walking and still
strong,
mobile when
yeah.
in those years,
Yeah.
Nick and Whitey. And Nick heard that I fly the hulas. And he came to me and he said to me, when you go to hula again, I want to go with her. I said, no problem.
That was his strain, Nick, so
Yeah,
it was Slimmer
yeah.
Battery, yeah.
I took Nick to John Hula, and Hula said to him, then I heard Nick's mother was Sonny Kippen's sister,
Yeah,
or
something
she
like that.
worked for
No,
Sonny
no,
Kippen.
they were family.
They were family, yeah.
They were
I think it
family.
was his sister.
Yeah, they were family.
And
Kippen was his
Kippen,
uncle.
yeah,
That's right,
Kippen gave him a hen that bred them many, many, many
yeah.
winners.
That's right, yeah.
And when he went with me, he said to Hula, that hen, remember her? He says, yeah, no, fine. He says, you remember we bought her back when she was 14 years old? He says, yeah, I remember. He says, you won't believe it. We still got 3 winners out of her after at age of 14 years.
Yeah.
And that was, on the one side, that was a slimmer, a young slimmer, 22, which was the father to the hen that I had. And I think it was Blower 49 was the other side. It was such a pure slimmer that we had there. But in any case, long and the short, I put those birds together, the slimmer putteries, and I bred them. And I got a Duomny from Bob Meyer. Bob Meyer was the chairman of Primrose Club in 76, 78, around there, TRPF Club.
Yeah.
And he got the pair of Duomnys from Arneson. Joe Arneson was
Joe Arneson, I know, because
he was a multimillionaire in Brakpan.
Was he Scottish or?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember, don't know him, but I remember lots of stories being told.
Yeah,
about he also imported a lot of birds.
Imported a lot of birds. He actually imported from Duomny, the story goes, I think 20 birds. And the birds arrived, and somebody said they were with him the day when the birds arrived, and they sat on the back stoop, on the steps. And this basket of pigeons arrived, and he looked at the birds, and he took the first bird out from Duomny, looked at it, pulled its neck off, took the next one out, handled it, pulled its neck off, killed all 20.
I heard that
Took the
story.
rings off, put the rings in an envelope,
Sent
it back to Duomny and said to him, don't send rubbish, I've got enough rubbish this time. And Duomny then sent him, I think, 4 pairs, which were, he said, I'm sending you these 4 pigeons. If you want to kill them, but don't ever contact me again. And those 4 they were excellent pigeons. H.P. Bester flew them in.
I know Tom Price flew of them by us, and he had the few call.
They were excellent pigeons.
Those many years,
I crossed those with the puttery slippers. That was the original crosses that I had. And Then Ivan Kitchenrand gave me a Croxford Blue Cross Hermansferens.
Okay.
It was a light checker cock. He did a lot of things for me as well. That cock crossed in.
Did you know Ronnie Croxford at all?
No,
did you know
yeah,
him?
no, Ronnie, knew Ronnie very, very well.
Okay.
Met him at Monty in those days,
Okay.
Peter Skuman in those days.
So
Shows.
Monty you obviously knew well from the shows.
Yeah, Monty I knew very, very well.
Ever bring any of his famous birds in like that
Yeah,
1801?
okay, that's where the next happening came.
Yes.
Then on that, I flew very, very well with those four-way cross or three-way cross pigeons, and they carried me a long way.
Yeah.
Then I brought in. What happened? The birds became very similar. They were nutty brown eyes.
Too much of a muchness.
And if you handled one, you handled the lot.
Yeah.
They were the same pigeon from the first one to the last one. And I became like a specialist Hanover, Carlsberg pigeon fancier. They flew, those I won the union very easy.
Yeah.
That was where they flew. They never flew very well in the beginning, and they never flew very much further than that. That was where they were. They became too specialized.
Yeah.
The same thing.
Yeah.
And Dave came to me one, Dave Gilbert,
Yeah.
and he came to me and he said, you know what you need? Yeah, you need Janssen to cross that white eyes into this eyes that you've got here. And he said to me, you know what we need? We need 1801.
We could go off onto another theory of Asan there now, but we won't. We'll stick to that.
And then he got a Sampo silver medal winner at a sale in Natal. There was, I think it was Dr. Russell Codd or somebody down there had a sale, and he got hold of this hen. Then I got hold of, what happened is from Monty, I got some pigeons from Monty.
You got directly from him.
I got directly from him babies that he rang me and gave me eggs and whatever. I had a son and a daughter out of the pretty hen. I had that. I had a lot of the Van Rijn side of that he had, the black stuff.
Yeah.
Then I went to visit Peter Stewart. Peter Stewart in the West Rand. Big friends of Bodnors and
Yes, I know those names.
Piet Bodnors and Monty and those guys. Pitt used to go overseas and bring in a loft of pigeons. And then he'll take what he wants, and the rest was then sold or given away or what have you. Monty would have a pick normally or get something. And a lot of them ended up with Peter Stewart. And I would I went to visit him. Those days I was in the computer side, and I wrote a computer program to do results and things like that. And he wanted a copy of it, I gave it to him. I think I did it on Lotus those days. And I went.
I think you know what Lotus is, Liz.
I went to the loft, and he said, he showed me now these pictures, and this is this from this, and this is this and this. All, they call it the famous flavour of the month pigeons.
We'll get
that
to
was
that
now that was just brought in
Yeah.
from Alpit. And I looked at this, and I saw this cock at the floor at the bottom there, and I said to him, and he owed me now 2 babies. I said, stop worrying about those pigeons. That blue cock there, mate him to whatever you want to. I want 2 babies out of that cock. He says, no, sure. I said, what is that cock? He says, I don't know. I said, oh, breed me out of that cock. Old cock. So in any case, long and the short of it, 3 months goes by, I don't hear from Alpira. I go back, I visit him. I had to do something on the West End again. I was working for Genco. I think I went to West End Cons, one of the old mines. We had a meeting there. Came back. How are you? All right. I said, where's my 2 babies? He says, that cock, I haven't even mated him yet. I said, can I have the cock? He says, yeah, take him. So I take the cock, a blue ball cock. Now look at this pigeon, TRPF ring now. Okay, I'll phone Monty. This is Monty's ring. Phone Monty. I said to him, Monty, I've got this pigeon. He says, where did you get it? I said, no, from Peter. He says, you know, you can give gold away. And if people don't know that it's gold, they just don't appreciate it. I said, what is it? He says, that's a son out of 1801.
Direct.
Direct son of 1801 with a monkey's hen or something like that. That was the click. And he said, Tommy Haynes.
I remember him.
Tommy
Met him a
Haynes.
few times. He was mates with Terence.
That's a
They were
very
quite
big
friends.
mate with Terence.
Yeah.
Tommy Haynes had a Fed winner. In those days, I was involved in the Fed. I was on the council. And Tommy Haynes won the Fed with the Pigeon 1818. And I phoned him and congratulated him and, oh, very well done, and what have you. And the week later, he won the Fed with 1817, nest mate.
Sure.
I said, congratulations, that takes doing.
No,
What
that
is
takes
it?
time.
No, it's out of 1801 of Monty. And this cock was the father
Gee.
to those two. Then Yanni Kukamoor had an auction.
Yes. I
And
remember
on
him.
his front page was this blue cock, 1801 cock. That was his number one pigeon. And that was also son out of that cock.
Sure.
So I ended up with that cock. I got out of him 4 or 5 babies.
So you never got him when he was young then, though?
No, he was ancient.
Yeah.
And he bred, we mated him to the 1801, the Merck stuff that Dave Gilbert had. And I mated him to
Dave Gilbert is some super, you know, him and I, we still got a difference because he refused to sell me 2 babies that I wanted from him so badly.
No, he's a different character.
He's
He grew up in front of me. He's my progeny.
He's tough, eh? Yeah.
He was like Okie of 12 years old. Uncle, I'd like to see your birds here in Boksburg those days. But in any case, so we mated those things. Then I gave him a baby out of a hen that I had, a pretty hen with a Janssen cock. And that formed a hell of a thing in his life.
So just going back, your base then was obviously the slimmer putteries,
And
the
they call it the crosses, because I don't believe in line breeding. I've tried it.
Yeah.
And I have had success, but it didn't. Well, let me tell you that quick story.
Yeah.
I took the original black slimmer hen, black white flight hen, the mother to the hen that got me a 6 Britstone.
Yeah.
And I mated her to her son.
Yeah.
Then out of that mating, I got a baby, and I took that baby. That was, I bred actually 2. The one was known as Groenwig, and the other one was Kykenborsie. Kykenborsie had a chest, I promise you, not wider than that. It was a small, thin, long pigeon. And Groenwig, Ben van As, said that was the best pigeon he ever handled in his life. It had a Jan Arden eye, the green Jan Arden eye.
I remember those you
Pitch
brought in,
black, cock,
beautiful,
strong pigeon. But he was bigger than the Jan Ardens that I got late on. And he was a winner. I think he was a double winner, Groenwig. And when the paramixer hit us there in, I think it was
That's
90.
before the
very
vaccine
first
days, eh?
Yeah, before, that was the first time it happened in South Africa. And Groenwig was shaking his head like that. And I said, oh. And we had a rainstorm. And he actually drowned himself. He had like, you know, that shake.
Yeah.
And he shook his head under the water and he drowned himself.
Shame.
But in any case, Long and Kykenborsie, on the other side, I took the puttery cock, the old blue cock, mated him to his granddaughter, got a daughter there. And I took that daughter, mated back to the to Kykenborsie. Now, why mate Kykenborsie? But he's so inbred, and the hen, she actually was a hell of a good hen.
She was grandfather to granddaughter.
Yeah, and she was stolen. That hen. But in any case, long and short, I took Kykenborsie and mated that too. And I bred a little checker hen, small little hen. And I looked at this pigeon, that's nothing really to worry about. So what happened is the Derby came along. Those days, the Derby, whatever ring is Derby, if you bought a Derby ring, if you bought 100 Derby rings, and the Derby race is up, you can ring basket 100.
All 100 then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had those years, I think I bought 20 rings, Derby rings, and I had 14 that had to go to the race, and amongst them was this little small hen. She flew through her last flight as I basketed the night,
So she has 9 flights to go.
and the 9th flight was like 3/4.
3/4, yeah.
So she had basically 8 flights that she's
8
flying
and
with.
3/4, yeah.
No. And I looked at the slot and I said, no, she's not going to make it. But in any case, she's got a derby ring.
Yeah.
On the Saturday, we're waiting for the pigeons. And I love animals. I've got a rabbit. And behind the pigeon loft is a patch of carrots. So, where's the pigeons? I go and I walk behind the loft, pull out a bunch of carrots. Now I'm going to give that to the rabbit. As I come to the front, in the middle of the loft, standing in the front of the gate, door, this pigeon is closing up for the trap.
So what do you eat? Breaks?
Do I run left? Do I run right? Where do I run to? So, to the one side, she lands on the roof of the loft. So, go behind the loft, chase her off. She flies to in the front of the loft because now there was a stupid idiot standing in front of the trap. Go around the back, chase her in, clock her. Now, those days, Peter Ramsey was the race secretary of Kempton Park at those days. And we used to have a good chat normally race days. So we're not,
just on those, when you mentioned those days, I pulled out a list once for John Buerta. You knew John Buerta?
Yeah, I knew John well. He flew in Kempton.
He flew there. And I think the club, I think, was 54 members at that stage.
Yeah.
If I'm correct.
Kempton,
remember something
Kempton
like
had 54 flying members.
Yeah.
We were over 60 members
Yeah.
in the Kempton Club.
Yes.
And 18 positions. If you flew a position, you were champion.
Yeah.
Now, those days, no cell phone.
Yeah.
So I had a telephone line extension of about 50 meters that I can walk around with it. And I phoned Peter. Now, we always chit, first of all. So now I want to report my pigeon, but I'm chit-chatting and talking. We're talking a lot. And so eventually, he says to me, the birds are going to be here soon. I said, hang on, I want to report. 3:00. Now, this is 3:15.
Sure.
Now, Peter was...
time in those days, half an hour to report.
And Peter was hot, eh? He was a hot fancier. He says, what? I said, yeah. So he's laughing at me because he thinks I'm bullshitting now. I said, Peter, this is official. I report. 3:00. Goodbye. And I put the phone down. So I phoned Cyril Leibach. I said, Cyril, have you clocked? He says, no, not yet.
Oh, he's way before you.
And he's in Boksburg, and I'm in Kempton. I think he gave me 14K.
Yeah.
So I said, what? I said, can you see your loft? He says, yeah, because he sat in the kitchen and he looked down the passage to his loft, into the loft.
Yeah.
I said, there's no pigeon, no. I said, go look. And he goes back, he says, no pigeon. I said, well, I've got a pigeon at 3:01.
Sure.
That little check-in, long and the short of it, she wins the union by 20 minutes. I think it was Chris Prinsloo, had a pigeon at 1:23 in Alberton.
In Alberton, eh? That must be 30 k's ahead of you.
Oh, she won the union by 15 minutes, that little check-in. And then she did it the year after again. She won the union again. She was a double union winner.
Yeah.
I took her and I mated her back to a slimmer puttery. And I never got any of them to come back home from Heidelberg. I took her and I mated her to a pure puttery on the other side. Well, I took her to a slimmer. I took her to a pure puttery. Then I took her to a Vanier, which is totally outcross. Never got anyone to fly further than Heidelberg. Not one was a Homer proper.
So first of all, it confirms the
hybrid
theory.
vigor.
So the two inbreds, two inbreds. So the one inbred crossed with each other gave the hybrid vigor.
Yeah. And then it stopped.
And nothing after that.
That stopped. Right there it stopped. She had just that hybrid vigor and that was it. And it was a beautiful pigeon. I bred.
And did you ever try and breed out of those again, maybe?
No, because I never had any.
Oh, because they never made it back?
They never came home. They never came home.
So strange. Eh?
And I took her, when I took her to the Vanier side, I took her to a union winner.
And nothing?
Not a thing. And that cock also lost in Paramixer. Went to the race. I said, this cock is hot. Feel him, he's wet, he's hot. In the meantime, it was fever. Gone, never saw him again.
Sure.
No,
So what
then,
did that bring your theory to of breeding then, with this inbreeding and line breeding and
doesn't work. Doesn't work. Cross them, cross them, cross them. Fly them, cross them. You look at this super pigeons that's now.
yeah, I was going to ask you about them now. Because they
Flavor of the month.
But they've become a hot flavor, eh, Marius? If you look at their prices, they've become...
Now, I'm not involved, but I do have quite an insight into one loft.
Yes.
And I know, I must not say it, there's a lot of pigeons being sent of famous names,
Yes.
which half of them are no more, and the race season hasn't started.
Yeah.
They just no good. And the prices they paid, or was paid for their parentage,
It's crazy, eh?
crazy, crazy. I think of an incident that happened, that I can relate. I can tell that one. Birdie. I can talk about Birdie. Birdie, the
Although
famous...
she had a good record though, eh?
Yeah, Birdie, there wasn't a
Fine.
pigeon at Sun City ever that flew like Birdie flew.
100%, yeah.
A very rich man went to Marketsham,
Yeah.
bought a baby, 2 babies out of Birdie with whoever, I don't know who was mated
She
to.
was mated to, yeah.
Entered them at a one loft. And the loft never hit 50 Ks when that babies were gone. Both were gone. And that guy accused the owner of stealing those 2 babies. But they were useless.
But that's pigeons though, Marius. I mean, you can...
I can mention a couple of other people
Yeah.
that Birdie's children produced, but Birdie herself never produced anything. I might be wrong. I'm saying this on camera, but I don't think...
No, but I've heard the same or similar stories though. I've heard her children do produce, but she never really...
produced. I might be totally wrong. But
although she had a record, a race record.
although how many babies she bred and how many good ones were there, we don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
But your opinion on this, we might as well mention the name of these kittles that are everywhere now.
Yeah, but Kittle, it started off with Kittle and then Best Kittle.
Yes.
Now the grizzles they are now tyrants, what are they called?
Blizzard.
Kittles. Paid a lot of money, I'm sure. Egbert paid a lot of money for that lot that he imported.
Yes.
I don't know.
They're so well marketed overseas that the prices, you're not going to get them for cheap, Marius.
I go back and I say, we look at the tomlocks. How good were they really? They were good ones.
I can only speak from my experience.
Yeah.
To me, they were super.
They were super.
Yeah.
But why aren't they still the flavor of the month? What happened to them? What happened to the Sablon? Very, very good cross. Sablon of them were very, very good crosses. But they're all gone. So I'm saying again, flavor of the month. Get a good pigeon, breed off it, but cross it. Don't go and inbreed it or try and build a family around the pigeon.
None of that stuff.
Half brother, sister is maybe a good mating, but after that, don't go further than that. Don't go father, daughter, father, granddaughter. Cousins, that works.
Yeah.
But after that, don't go further.
No, nothing.
That's my opinion on it.
So now, when I was at your place the last time, I looked at a loft there that I love, because I love the look of those slimmer putts, those dark checker white flights that you got in the one section there. So are those still all related to the originals?
Yeah, those, that is the Putty Slimmer side of the family.
Yes.
And I use them. I do not inbreed them, I cross them.
Yeah.
And the babies that I breed out of them, I cross them. So I'm a believer of crossing. I've got very, very good janssens.
I was going to say, then you brought in those janssens.
I brought in the janssens. The Jan Ardens I brought in, the most beautiful eyes. They look like the old original Pedigrees.
Yeah, they were beautiful, Marius.
I crossed them with Janssen. There I had mediocre results. Then
Do you think you flew enough distance races for those Jan Ardens?
Yeah, the funny part was, when I put two half Jan Arden Janssen together,
Yeah.
I got actually some nice results, good results, winners and whatever.
Yeah.
And what I found out, a Jan Arden is actually a long 2-day racer,
Yeah.
but it's not a smash racer. It's got to be a long distance race, good weather.
Okay.
You know, where the Janssens, to me, were a more truer pigeon. And I mean by that, the 1801s were known for distance racing. The Van Rijn Kluk that Monty used to cross them with was distance races. They were working on the distance, the championship, and those races where Monty were really excelling. And that was the races where the Janssen, I brought in the Sherwood Janssens.
That's right.
Or Monty brought in the Sherwood Janssens, of which I got one, and then I brought in some afterwards out of that lot. And when I got them, I said, "Wow, this is now going to be the coconuts from the first race. We're going to fly the hell out of everybody." And I bred the babies, and I raced them, and I'll clock the loft, and then I'll wait for the Janssens to arrive. And I said, "Oh no, a lot of dogs." And amongst them was this little light checker cock. And I've basically given up on them. I said, they were just now a good, bad experiment.
Yeah.
And we came to Richmond. And I basket them like usual. And this little young cocky came up, flew a fourth division, I think, second club. I said, "Yeah, you want to fly the distance?" But okay, and I think 2 weeks later or a week later, I sent him back, and he won the division.
Sure.
And I said, "Wow, now I know what they are."
Yeah.
And that is also part in Dave's Janssens.
Is that also in Dave's Janssens?
Yeah, the Sherwoods are in there as well. The original Sherwoods, there was 4 that came in.
Okay.
A light checker cock, a blue-bar hen, a scarly cock, and a blue-bar white flight hen. And what happened, I said to Monty many years ago, I said to him, "When you bring in Janssens again, I want a Janssen cock. Buy me I'll pay for a Janssen cock." And the day they came out of quarantine, he said to me, "Meet me at the quarantine station." I went there and he said, "Listen, there's the 4 pigeons. There's 2 cocks, 2 hens. Which cock you want?" I said, "Ooh." And this light checker cock, beautiful pigeon. He had a greenish eye. It was an absolute beaut. I said, "I'll take him." He said, "Okay, that's yours." I said, "Now the others?" He says, "The hen, the blue hen, I'll take. John Edwards will take the one, and Rob Edwards will take the other one down
from Mossel Bay.
Mossel Bay. And then what we'll do is," he said, "but what we'll do is, first of all, we'll mate them together, and we'll breed 4 babies. And then out of the 4 babies, you get one, I'll get one, and John and Rob will get one each. And we'll swap them around like that until we've got enough. And then the cock can come to you and the hen can go there and what have you." And Monty phoned me about 2 weeks later. He says, "I've got a major problem." I said, "What?" He says, "I took that cock, mated him to the hen, the little blue hen, and he nearly killed her." I said, "What?" He says, "Yeah, she's not ready to mate yet." He says, "But the cock, he was quite a stroppy."
Yeah.
I said, "Al, that's bad." He says, "But she'll survive." He says, "But then I just left him there in the stock loft, and he mated up to the pretty hen." I said, "Just don't throw the eggs away." He says, "No, that's why I phoned you. There's 2 eggs, and there's 2 babies." He said, "Oh, there'll be..." No, he phoned me and said, "There's 2 babies. One is yours, because the cock is yours."
Yeah.
I said, "Thanks very much, Monty." He says, I said to him, but that will be totally unfair. He says, you must come pick one. I said, no, that will be totally unfair because you know me, I'm a judge of a pigeon.
Yeah, I know.
You're a judge of a pigeon. I'll take the best one. And that will be wrong.
Yeah.
Because the pretty hen is a known quantity. The Sherwood cock is not a known quantity.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll be taking, the best bird is the hen. We don't know what the quantity of the cock is. So I said, but you gave me you gave me 2 eggs out of the pretty hen with her uncle, the 7-time Federation winner, a black cock. Now, better than that, I bred 2 babies, and as I weaned them, but they were wild. As I weaned them, the hen flew over my head, and I watched her disappear towards Pretoria. She never went left, right, nowhere, just gone.
Forever.
Forever. And the cock turned out to be eventually a very good breeder for me. His blood is still there in the loft.
Okay.
But then I said, listen, I've got a cock. I'll take the hen baby. And he said, okay, the hen is yours. Out of the 2 babies.
Yeah.
Tom Chalmers bought the other one, the baby out of that. And that hen is the grandmother to the one that went to Dave again,
Okay.
on that side. But in any case, that pretty hen, she was known as my pretty hen. Jannie Koekeboer, he was so cross with me. He says, how can you take a replica of the pretty hen?
So that was the Sherwood cock to the
With a
pretty hen.
pretty hen.
Yeah.
I said, he says, you can't just take that pigeon from Monty. I said, I don't
What's
think
the
I was
deal?
taking a pigeon. I just said to him, I'll take the hen, which was a replica of the pretty hen, but now she had half Sherwood. Then I got a lot of the Sherwood cross with a pretty hen, not with a pretty hen, with the Sherwoods. Rob, but of those 4 pigeons that came in, the Scarly cock was the one.
Who did he go to?
And he went to Rob Edwards down there. That was the good one.
Okay.
He was the better one of the 4 pigeons that came in. Then the cock was sold. Then Monty said, he's having a sale. And he's going to sell, what will be fair is we'll sell all 4 of the Sherwoods and we'll split the money 4 ways. Because everybody, this cock was he was a pitcher.
Yeah.
And the Scully wasn't much of a pitcher, but that was the one. But in any case, they were sold on his auction. And old Chris Smith comes to me after the auction. He says, you must see what I bought. I bought the champion of the loft. I said, what did you buy? I bought the Sherwood cock. I said, oh, you bought my cock. Your cock.
Didn't know. He was also a character, eh?
Oh, he was so, what do you mean your cock? I said, no, I've got lots of sons and daughters out of him. He was so not disappointed. He,
Amazed, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you. And the biggest mistake he made was that cock tended to breed very big. And he mated him to his Smithfield stuff, his blues. And he bred turkeys. Huge things.
Strange.
And I said, no. Gerderekker came to me and he said he bought 2 babies out of the king. Chris called him the king.
I remember that, yes.
And I said, yeah, but they're too big.
I think Gert actually ended up buying that king.
I don't know. Yeah, the king went to somewhere.
Yeah,
he went
Gert
somewhere.
bought him, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Beautiful cock.
Yeah.
Beautiful picture.
Yeah, I remember him, yeah.
But the biggest mistake they made was mating him to big hens. He was small little hens. That's what he wanted.
Chris, on Chris Smith, I think he originally also imported some direct catrices from the brothers on the auction. The Shanes, direct.
Yeah.
He had some very good birds, eh?
Chris flew very well, had a lot of birds, and then he sold them all, and then he started again, I think, in 80 or 82.
Okay.
He started again. He started up again.
Yeah. So there were some famous names around here in those days that you're talking about.
No, Boksburg
was a hell of a
you know, the Rietfontein Road was known as the highway to stay for pigeons because they came up Rietfontein Road over the mine dump.
Yeah.
And they would drop out.
Just drop off and clock.
Yeah.
I think Cyril also lived on Rietfontein Road.
Yeah, Cyril is a very clever guy, or he was very clever in his pick of a location.
Yeah.
And when John Gianni came up from, he was champion in Port Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Then he was champion in Cape Town. And then he was transferred up here to the
Kempton Park. Yeah,
to
right.
Kempton,
Yeah.
and there to the police college.
Yeah.
And he was head of that. And he asked Cyril Leibach, he said, where must I buy? And Cyril said, Alberton. And Gianni says, but where's the champion? In those days, Peter Ramsey was a union champion.
Kempton.
And Peter Ramsey never flew a union position in the first 6 races. Kempton very hardly flew a union
But was he
position.
union champion then?
Yeah, Peter, I think, was 4 or 5 years union champion.
Was Monty Higgins, Monty,
No, Les Higgins. No, now we're going to the 70s.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Les Higgins was in the 70s union champion.
He was union champion as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Shit, he was
Elder, but what it was.
so Gianni moved to...
Yeah, so Gianni he moved into Kempton Park.
Yeah.
And he moved basically 2 houses from Peter Ramsey.
Ah, okay.
And the very first year, he's going to kill us. We got the Cape Town champion here.
Yeah.
We never had his clock the whole year.
Sure. And he had good birds, eh?
He had those bolletjies.
Bolletjies,
Bolletjies
van
van
Reels,
Reels.
yeah.
Then the second year, I'll never forget it. I think it was the yearling national. Gianni phones me. He says, I've got an official complaint. I was on the committee. I said, John, what's the problem? He says, come race day, Peter Ramsey will toss his pigeons, and his pigeons will be coming more or less just before the race birds or when the race birds are here. I said to John, John, what do you want me? No, I must officially get Ramsey to stop it. I said, have you clocked? It was the yearling national. I said, have you clocked already? He says, no, but they'll be here any minute. I said, those pigeons, how many dropped there by Peter? He said, they were raining in. I said, those were all race pigeons.
Oh, no.
John just put the phone down. I think his second year we read his clock once or twice.
How did he improve then? Because he became...
So then he went and he got hold of, what was those pigeons, the mealies, blue bars, what were those pigeons? Scarecrow was one of them, half of them.
Oh, because I thought he was a Van Real, that Scarecrow.
Yeah, Scarecrow was Van Real, but they had, what was that other blood in? Inbrecht.
Oh, Jermaine Inbrechts.
Yeah, and he brought some Jermaine Inbrecht in there. And then John Gianni was a champion.
That's right,
again.
yeah.
You know, many a night, pigeon fanciers would say, 11 o'clock at night, John Gianni had a double-story loft that stood up above the fence.
Okay.
On the corner, and then Peter Ramsey was on this corner of the side. And many a night, guys will say, you go past Gianni's house, 11 o'clock at night, he'll be sitting there on a paint drum in the loft. Gianni had a hen. I tell you, Scarecrow and, what was her name? The hen, a little check hen.
One of his.
They became famous pigeons. Well, he'll come to the loft, to the club, open his baskets, and he'll call I can see the pigeon, beautiful hen. She'll jump on his hand. He'll come to the ringer, take her, ring her, put her on his hand, walk to the basket, open the basket, into the basket. She'll climb in. Scarecrow and but both of them were dog tame.
Sure.
Like
I think, what's the name ended up with that blood crossed, also became a champion, yeah, was Brand Webner.
Yeah. But Brand got them after. Yeah. He had a very good one out of Scarecrow.
That's right.
And that's where the very interesting one, Brand bred a recessive red.
That's right, yeah.
And that is the very interesting part of it, because that's on the Van Real side where that recessive red comes from.
Okay, I remember those recessive
And
reds.
everybody said, what is this Muleman stuff? I said, no. And that's where the original Mulemans is out of a Huiskens Van Real cock, black Huiskens, I think it was a dog chick or white flight, and a blue bar Janssen. That's
I was going to ask you if it wasn't Janssen in that.
That was the Mulemans.
Yeah.
In South Africa, the red pigeons, recessive reds, were bred by Monty van der Berg and Patry. Monty had the Lambrechtsen, the black Lambrechtsen, the original Patry hen, the small black Lambrechtsen.
Yeah.
Then Patry brought in a lot of pigeons. He brought in the Patrys, and then afterwards he brought in the Nooiens, he brought in the Katrasa, he brought in Herman says he brought in a lot of pigeons. Then Patry brought in a blue bar white flight cock from Del Bar. And that blue bar white flight cock, Monty said, we must make it to the red, the small little Lambrechtsen. But that blue bar white flight cock was a big winner for Huiskens van Riel. He was actually a Huiskens van Riel cock that Del Bar sent out. But it then was known as Del Bar, because in Belgium, if I take this pigeon into my loft, it becomes a Klingbiel.
Yeah.
It's not anymore a Russell van der Merwe, it's now a Klingbiel.
That's right. Yeah.
And that Del Bar cock then produced with this the Lambrechtsen, bred the red pigeons, the recessive reds.
Yeah, so I just want to ask you on that, is that any relation to the bronze?
That's where the bronze comes in, yeah.
You remember the famous bronze?
Yeah, well, by Cyril Leibach,
Yes.
and what you call it,
Yes, him.
what's the name?
Yeah, I'm exactly talking about.
Stayed out.
You're going to have to put those lights up with the name of us.
Ravenstein.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, now let's carry on. So then these red pigeons ended up with Hebron. Hebron stayed in Malvern, and his wife
You'd have to cut that out.
was Jean. And next to them stayed Jimmy Levy.
Yes, those are famous names.
Now, Jimmy Levy and Jean had a go, and Hebron and Jimmy's wife. So then they swapped wives. That's how that happened.
Where was that in Malvern?
Yeah.
That was normal for that area.
I think Jimmy passed away now recently.
Is that?
Yeah. Jean is still alive. I see her every now and then. She's in Harburg still. Then the birds went to those reds, ended up with Jimmy and Jean and them. And then they went to Wessel Peters, who's the next guy.
Sure, another good name, yeah. Yes.
And he found that they crossing them, those reds, were dynamite. I think he crossed them to Van Riel. Not Van Riel, to Van Rijnkluk.
Yeah.
Shorty Diesel and them had Van Rijnkluks, and
Yeah,
they
also
brought
good
those
names,
crosses came in there. Then on Wessel Peters' sale, when he stopped, look, he was union champion as well. Conrad Botha.
Oh, just going to ask you about that.
Conrad
now.
got hold of a daughter of the Sterroog hen,
Because Conrad had some of those recessive reds.
which was the original red hen, the hen, the number one red hen of Wessel, the Sterroog.
Yeah.
And he eventually got hold of the Sterroog herself as well. And he got some brothers and sons. And he said to me, this reds I'm going to win unions with. But they were excellent, excellent crosses. From the Wessel Peters stuff, also went to, what's his name, in Springs, the two brothers, the one went down to Cape Town.
Gone down to Cape Town. I know the Gullet's got birds from them.
The name will come up now. But any case, that's where the reds came from, those recessive reds.
Okay.
Now, Conrad says they were Lambrechts, which is right, because their mother was a Lambrecht.
Yeah.
Some people said they were Delbar, and some people said they red Patrys. And that's where the red Patrys come from as well.
Okay.
That's where the whole
The
thing
whole name came from, yeah.
it comes together.
Just quickly on that, you remember John Botha very well.
Yes, yes.
So him and I were very good friends. And Conrad came there to give him one of these red pigeons and said, you can't fly it.
Yeah.
So John thought, he's going to try and race it, because if it's bred so well, it must race. Marius, the thing came home, I can't tell you how late, from short tosses. Like say a 30k toss, you take the whole day. So John thought, no, he's going to lose him. let's try him in the stock loft. And he bred superb. So another theory that's
Yeah.
gone out the window.
Well,
Because the bird couldn't toss well.
yeah.
But he bred them.
Conrad came to me one day and he brought me, I'm going back there, 1981, 82.
You must have lived near him then, eh?
Yeah, I stayed in Kempton Park on the plots in
Yes,
Pomona.
yeah.
And he was in Bredell.
Bredell, yeah.
Not Bredell, he was actually more towards Benoni, further side towards Crystal Park area.
Yeah. Very
Any-
close to that.
Where the auction site,
With the
the
auction
Sesfontein.
sites. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Conrad comes there with 2 babies, 2 reds, and he says to me, these pigeons you must cross with yours. They cross excellent. Because Conrad had open loft to me. He walked into my loft
Ah, you knew him well.
very, very well. We were very, very big
Right.
friends. Sad work. But in any case,
Yeah.
old Conrad came to my loft and he'll take a cock. He'll say, I'm taking this cock. Goodbye. I said, go, goodbye. We were very, very
Yeah.
good friends. So he came there with these 2 reds, 2 little red babies. He says, cross them with yours. Thanks, Conrad, 100%. So I gooi them in the race loft. So 4 or 5 weeks, we used to visit quite often. Old Conrad comes there. He says, where's your reds? I said, Conrad, they didn't even want to break in properly. They're gone. So, what do you mean gone? I said, they're gone. They're no more here. They disappeared. They decided not to stay here. He looks at me. He turns around, walks to his car. He doesn't say goodbye. He doesn't say anything. Gets into his car and he drives off. I go into the house. I said, daai Conrad is the bliksemin vir my.
No,
Hy's
he's upset.
baie kwaad vir my. Helena says, why? I said, daai 2 rooi duifies wat hy gebring het, is al 2 weg. So, I said, well, they didn't fit in. But half an hour later, here Conrad comes in with his little 1400 bakkie. His wife is driving, and here's Conrad sitting in the passenger seat. Stops, he climbs out. He's got 2 reds. At the car, comes and he walks to my loft. He says, yeah, I'm putting them in your stock loft. Now you can't fly them, you can't race them. They are now breeders.
Breeders.
So I said, thanks, Conrad. And the friendship just carried on, you know. So
How did
in any
they
case, I make
make them up,
these
yeah?
birds up. I breed out of them. I bred very nice pigeons. But they were a little bit above average, but not great. Nothing that had me sitting upright and say, I must go breed out of this thing, 100 of this.
Yeah.
But he mated up and so what. And eventually they died of age. But
Yeah.
the blood was in the loft.
Yeah.
And I did cross them out and whatever. So, long and the short of it, I sell Kempton Park and I moved to Heidelberg. Heidelberg, in the race loft, I've got a black cock and a black hen. The hen wins me actually, she was a dark checker hen. She wins me a federation. And beautiful little dark check hen. And I look at this hen and she mates up to a cock in the race loft. Also, quite a stroppy cock, but nothing fantastic. Flown a position here and there, didn't get killed. Eventually, you know, mated up, and he's a happy chappy. And I breed 2 babies. I breed 2 black babies, dog checkers, but bronze with a bronze M. And I don't ring them.
Don't ring them.
No, I don't ring them.
Shame.
You know, my labourer's got to get food as well, so when the babies are a little bit bigger, nyama, go, have them. And Sampi Roslier, not Sampi Roslier, what's his surname? Sampi van Rensburg. He was a chemist in Balfour. He comes there. I want 2 of those black babies. I said, well, Sampi, bring me 2 rings. So he brings me 2 rings and I ring him 2 babies out of that pair. They're breeding in a perch. This cock used to fill up the perch that halfway through the season I've just got to pull all the nests out because he'll fill the perch
Almost
up.
closed, yeah.
So in any case, I give him these 2 babies. And that next year, old Sampi flies the Urf with those 2 black babies. On the distance, he flies us that we look like idiots. And now Balfour is not a famous racing place.
It's not the best
It's,
area
it's
to
not
race from.
laying in line with anything. It's in the middle of nowhere type of thing. Totally off the line. So I said, gee, I better breed myself 2 babies like that. So the next round comes, or the next season comes along, and I ring 44, 45 and 46. 2 dark checkers hatch, a cock and a hen. But the hen has got a lot of bronze in her. She's got a lot of
I know those dogs
that
with
bronze in the
top,
flights.
Yeah.
Not on the wing, in the flights.
Yeah.
So in any case, I breed the first round. Second round comes along, 2 babies in the nest. I look at them, I said, well, I've got 2 long distance pigeons. I don't think, and I go to, I've got always when I ring my birds and a bird dies or gets sick, I take that ring and I'll put it on another string, call it the dead string. And if I need rings, I'll go there. So I said, let me take 2 rings off the dead string. And I rung them. Then it was rung 133 and 133 and 8988. So, okay, they rung. So the third round hatches, and I look at that, and then I rung 130 and I think 120 was the last 2. So there's 6 black
babies.
6 black babies. They're dark checkers. So that's now I'll have a good long distance season with them. And the first race comes along the next year, and I catch my babies now for the young birds, the first race, and I look. Yeah, I need another one. Come here, you little black things, little black hen. It's not your distance yet, not ready yet to fly, but you're going to go. So I take her into the basket. Long story short, Saturday, wait for the pigeons. Yeah, there's a little black thing that lands on the fly in. I say, what? Clock, I win the Fed with a hen.
Sure.
So 45 wins the very first race of her life, Fed. Bang. I said, well, that is something. Well done. But where you're supposed to be a long distance pigeon.
Fed,
Yeah, you come and you win the Fed. Okay, so what? First club, first Fed, down. That's lekker. Now I'm really up and back. So, but now they're breeding, but now the eggs are still, maybe.
Yeah.
But nothing really serious. Come the Derby. We basket the Derby. And of course the black hen goes in. She carries pontoon, pools. Everything that can go on her is on her back. Saturday, I wait for the pigeons. Now waiting for the pigeons. And that year we liberated the Derby with the old birds. We have 2 races on the Saturday, the old and young.
Together.
So they said, we'll open them up together. And in any case, I wait. Now the old birds should
beat
the young birds. Wait. Plucks them. Here's a black. I've got it. This black swings, drops, walks in. It's from the second race.
That's not the other black.
It's not the little black hen. It's her brother. Well,
was he in the old bird race?
He was in the old bird race.
Oh, shame.
Okay. So, so what? Wait. Other pigeons come. Young birds come. Read out. I win the Fed with the second race. He wins the Fed. He's got the best time of the young and the old birds.
He wins the entire thing.
And he's a full brother to them.
Sure.
But the black hen is not back.
Actually never came.
So on Sunday, in the shop, and Okkie Botha walks in here. Not Okkie Botha, Okkie van Wyk walks in here.
Yeah, Okkie van Wyk, yeah.
Who has Cyril's 45? 'n donderse bosduif gekruis met 'n reisiesduif. I said, what do you mean? He says, daai donderse duif was voor my, and he got second Fed. He loses the Fed by seconds. He says, daai bliksemse duif gaan sit op my trap en sy loop voor my duif deur die trap. En toe moet ek my duif injaag. Dis hoekom ek tweede Fed is. Wie se duif is dit? Ek sê vir hom 45. Ek sê ja, ek sê vir hom, wel hy sê daai en sy die Fed, moes die Fed gewen het, maar sy het toe my duif uitgehou. Ek sê vir hom, jy's reg. Sy is 'n vetwenner. What do you mean? Ek sê, dis my duif. Sy het reeds 'n vet agteraan na.
Sometimes you wonder why birds
Yeah.
make that mistake.
She won the fed,
And then she goes to the wrong
and
mouth.
then she went wrong. I said, what? So he brings the hen back like 5 weeks later. He wanted just to keep her. I said, nee, jy kan haar nie kry. Hy sê, hoekom is sy so bruin? Ek sê, dis maar die brons van die patrie en die goed wat inkom. Then we flew, then he brought her back. Then we flew Upington or Kakamas. That's 800 km.
That's it.
And we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait. And that afternoon, it was like 10 to 6. I'm standing there in that little watchtower that I built, that I was sort of built for me, looking at the pigeons in the distance, watching the mountain. And I said to Yolanda, there's a pigeon just come over the mountain. I just see it. And I see this blackcock just coming up. Traps, walks in, only bird on the day, 46. So out of 6 babies, I had 3 federation winners, not club winners, federation winners.
That's amazing.
So now we must breed. You know how many babies I could get out of that pair again? Zero. They were empty.
Oh, yeah. That's pigeon racing.
That's pigeon racing. But any case, the long and the short of it, 120 mates up. 120 was the one that won the second fed, the derby. He mates up to another little dark check on the floor. And I said to myself, oh, I better ring those things that hatched there. And what hatched? A recessive red. I look at this, I said, now where the hell does that come from? That's like 15 years after the reds were in the loft. I said, where? No, 20 years. It was 20 years. Yeah. I said, now where does that come from? So I'll go back in the stock book. And on the one side, on the cock side, it was 5 generations back was a red cock that came from Conrad.
Yeah.
And on the hen side, it was 7 generations back. So
they had a bit of.
They were all carrying that gene, recessive, and when the two got together, it came out. Yeah. So every now and then, still, I breed.
Now do you throw a recessive?
I get a recessive red in my loft that hatches from nowhere, and then I know it's still that recessive pair that came from Conrad.
Yeah.
That's just the interesting thing on that.
Fact. And then going back also, Marius, you must have met some of the top legends around.
Yeah,
like we were talking the other day, you and I, you mentioned, I'm just thinking off the top of my head now, you mentioned Piet Schoeman.
Peter Schoeman, senior Piet.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good fancier. Very good fancier. Yeah. Peter Schoeman. Roland's father, Bob. Georgie Reed, still alive. Yeah, very good fancier. Yeah. Those were, there's a lot of the guys, that George Polton down in Port Elizabeth, Karel Potgieter, Port Elizabeth. If you think of Des Stowe.
I only met him. I met him after
he used to come to the office. Yeah,
just after it stopped pigeons because he was breeding finches or
that's it.
Something.
He became actually quite a good breeder of cattle.
Oh, did he?
And he bred some of the best dairy cattle. He used to get feet flown in, and semen flown in, and all that type of thing. Well, not
so he was quite serious.
Very, very good. He knew about breeding very, very well, and then racing very, very well.
Yeah, raced in Benoni's got a hell of a name. Man.
Yeah, no, that was one of the guys that used to fly these guys to a standstill.
Yeah,
he was a dangerous one.
Yeah, I'm just going through some names.
Names, if you think of all the old names that were around Ronnie Croxford, as you mentioned earlier on, those were Steer Painter's father, Duomny Painter.
The Duomny Painter,
that was also guys that we knew.
Did you must know Toppie Janssen?
Toppie, of course. Toppie we know. Toppie we know very well.
Did you know Tom Locke well?
Tom Locke, yes. Well, we flew with Tom Locke when Tom Locke battled to fly out of a paper packet.
Yes, so you named, I don't know him from racing. I just named from latter years when he started selling the
Tom Locke, Tom Gooding. Those were good ones. Sure. The Diesel brothers, Shorty, Walla Diesel.
I heard those were
Leon Jordan.
Phenomenal fanciers, those Diesel brothers up here.
They were very, very good. Leon Jordan, the fancier that used to wear like a blue coat. And He used to drink a lot, old Yori.
Oh, I know him. I met him. Yeah.
Oh, Yori. Yori.
Yes.
And the funny part is, old Yori, he had very, very good patries, old black white
Yes.
flats.
Yeah.
And old Yori would come to the club as drunk as a lord, and he'll pull out a pigeon. 100 rand, the other is. Then you know the 100 rand pools are gone because Yori will take it. He used to fly. But when he was drunk, you could hear every word old Yori was saying. When he was sober, what's he, Yori? You know, he used to talk inside his mouth,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, I remember, I never knew him well, but I remember him coming to judge once at the beaches. Remember the beaches?
Yes, yes.
Came to judge some birds there, but
Old Bumpy.
yes,
Bumpy
that's right.
Beach.
He was also passed away.
Shame.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
lost a lot of good old fanciers. Oh,
Yeah.
well, the old stock, even the younger stock has
younger
now
stock,
become old.
100%.
You know, if you look at those guys.
Just mentioning, like, you must know him very well, is Louis de Jager.
At 94.
94, he turned this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
In our
No,
club.
that guy you must get onto a podcast.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's...
Old Louis, Tom Chalmers, if you think of it. As I said, older Henry Stichling, Arthur
So
Beck.
Henry Stichling's the guy I told you I got my bushards from. He brought in those original Jeff Horn bushards.
That's it.
From England.
England, that's
Yeah.
it, yeah.
And
Black
those-
pigeons, they were
yeah,
dark.
Very, very good birds, eh?
That's
Very
it.
good, yeah.
Yeah,
He was president, wasn't he, Marius?
Yeah, he was
Of
president.
Sampo.
Yeah, Sampo. Tom
Yeah.
Chalmers was president as well.
was
I think they followed one another, or yeah. I think Louis followed Tom.
Yeah, but I remember...
Bob Valentine, another legend.
You know, so
Bobby.
Bob Valentine, I met when I just started Pigeons. I moved to... Just couldn't remember the area now. It's in Boksburg.
Yeah,
Don Park. So
yeah.
he raced in Germiston.
Yeah, he was
I
staying
used to
in
go to
Els Park.
So I used to go to the club with Henry, and then they broke away to Leondale Club.
Yeah.
And I used to go there, and I met Bob Valentine. Yeah, I didn't know him well, but I met him. You mentioned some of those names.
Bobby,
Years ago.
Bob Valentine would ask you, where do you live? And you say, I stay in Cinderella. You'll say, what's the nearest off-sales to you? And you say, off-sales? I said, what? I think there's one that. That's where, I know exactly where you are. He used to drink a bottle of whiskey a day.
Sure.
He was responsible for the building of the very first oil pipeline from Natal up to Joburg. Yeah. He made his millions there.
Because he was also into horses, eh? He had horses
No,
at that
he
stage.
made millions.
Yeah.
And fortunately, he invested a hell of a lot of money fixed for the family and the kids.
Okay.
And the rest, he
potted.
He used to come visit Ivan Kitchenbrand at evening, at night. And there will be Bob Valentine in the corner in the lounge, sitting, watching TV, or not watching TV, sitting in the chair, fast asleep. And
Visiting?
Then, visiting Ivan. And then around about 10 o'clock, Ivan would wake him and say, listen, Bob, it's time you go home. And he'll go home. Yeah. No, I tell you, what a character old Bob was. He told me one day, he bought the best of the Peter de Wet patries. He had all the good stuff, the Merriman cock and all.
He was also friends with another guy.
Lazy Bones and
Terry Joseph.
Yes,
yes,
Teddy that moved down to Mossel Bay.
That's
He
right,
passed on just soon after he moved.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, and old Bob would go to the loft. But he, as I said, Bob used to drink like a fish. And he took the string of rings and he had a big Boerboel cross riffrag. But this was a monster. Friendly as anything, always following old Bob. And Bob took this string of rings and he went into the loft and he rung the babies as he went along. And he came out and he said, hey, you know that pair, I must bring a special ring. And he went to the loft and he got to the spot, but there's no babies. But he's sure he rung a baby here. And then he looked, and here was his big old Boerboel just sitting there looking at him. And as he was going, ringing the babies, putting the baby back in the nest, the Boerboel would go,
Swallow the baby.
and he will eat them one after the other. When he got to the other side, there was no more pigeons, no baby in the nest, nowhere, no rings.
Oh, terrible shame.
Terrible.
I wonder if the dog survived that.
Oh, no, Bob. Oh, I
He's
better
okay.
just keep you out the last time. Yeah, I'll never forget
Ew,
that.
shame. Yeah, so there's some characters that have come and gone in the sport.
In the
boys.
game. Oh, I tell you, there was
It
some
was,
real serious guys. There
yeah,
was
yeah,
some,
some real
some
serious
guys
guys.
that.
We had like called a very serious guy I think his name was Quit Marie.
Yeah, quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
He's
serious,
a bookkeeper. He was a
yeah,
bookkeeper, and
very
everything he had to
yeah.
balance to the last
Yeah.
cent. Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
good.
he was
Very nice guy.
Very nice guy. Yeah.
And prim and proper. And
Yeah.
it was right.
Yeah.
Everything was right or it was wrong.
Yeah.
It couldn't be, let's go.
Yeah.
Boy Jacobs had the best of the Hermansvierens, as I said. That he had very, very good
There's a
pictures.
guy Fenter.
Doc Venter, you know?
No.
Doc
I
Venter
think
was a guy.
Henny. He was mates with Brunt Wepner, but he had different birds. He had
Yeah, that was the guy that came up from, he had the Slimmers.
Slimmers, yes.
That
Yeah.
came from, the Slimmers came from the guy that was killed in the Free State. He was riding a horse next to the road when a car hit him. A very, very big fancier as well.
But then Henny Fenter had those Slimmers.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
those
also
Slimmers,
good. They did well up here.
Yeah, those were very, very good pigeons.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. Another pigeon that was in my family was the guy with the black white flight patries down in West Rand. What's his name? Baba Gomes was a good friend of him.
And Joe knew him as well. He also had rollers as well. Baba Gomes, he had them both, the rollers and the racing.
And the racing pigeons. Oh, a lot of fanciers do have that. At Vinicus, those guys out the West Rand.
West Rand's delivered some good fanciers, eh?
Very, very good fanciers up there.
Yeah.
There was big boys there.
Yeah.
At Crew was there.
He was very good friends. I never knew him. His name was Arthur, eh?
Yeah.
At Crew, yeah. He was friends with Henry Kruger.
Yeah.
Henry used to take him around.
Henry was another guy that was a junior with me and
is it?
And
yeah, because he also grew up in Primrose.
Yeah. Him. Yeah. And I think he also flew in the Duomny Club.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah.
Henry Kruger.
Yeah.
Yeah, those days. Ronnie Herbst was a young man those days.
So what's the name took me to meet Ronnie Herbst was Les.
Les Higgins.
Yeah. Ronnie was then living in the back room of his, I think his daughter's house or something. And the little pigeon loft was next to. In those days, he told me, and you'd know better, he had the gold medal.
That's it.
And he said,
Scaffold.
I don't know what it was, but he said to me, one thing he can be proud of is that a top fancier like Roland Bauer had bought this gold medal and said it was one of the best birds he'd ever bought.
Yeah. No, she did. She bred them well. Roland bought some of the best pigeons that he could lay his hands on.
Yeah.
He did. He loaded a lot of money on pigeons.
Yeah. And he's been a hell of a successful, eh?
That's it. I believe him out very well.
He phoned me yesterday. He's a bit better. Him and his wife, obviously age, he fell and broke his hip, and then he got swine flu in ICU, and so he's not 100%.
Uitword. Not a good one.
And he can't go down to the farm now because I think the storm's in the Cape at the moment.
Yeah, the weather down there.
The weather down there is not so lekker, so he just hasn't been 100%.
No.
You knew his dad, hey?
Knew his dad, yeah.
Yeah, I
knew
knew
his dad, yeah.
Apparently his dad was a good fancier.
Very, very good fancier. Very good fancier.
And a good knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable, new pigeons.
New pigeons,
the old TRPF guys.
Yeah.
You know. I never knew, I knew Isaac Pell, but I never knew Dr. Breimer. I never knew him. I knew of him, but I never knew him. I believe that was also a very, very good fancier.
Yeah, you made a hell of a name, eh?
Yeah. Pedro grew up in front of...
100%. I've asked Paul to come on the show. He promised me he'll come on the show because I want to question him about all those days. Yeah. And he obviously he grew up in there. He worked for him as a
Yeah,
youngster cleaning
that's
the
it,
lofts
yeah.
and all of that.
And the Van Jaarsvelds, don't forget about the Van Jaarsvelds.
Yes.
There was also a lot of good fanciers there.
Yeah. So, and he was actually in the shop yesterday,
Chris,
No,
okay.
Sunday.
Okay.
And he also worked for Dr. Brahma.
That's it.
As a
Yeah,
schoolboy.
the Denoras.
And
His
yes,
whole Denoras come
100%,
from Dr. Brahma.
And then he went to the army, and then Paul took over. And
That's
so I want to
it.
get that whole story straightened
Get
out.
that
And Watson
together.
also comes from that area, Henry Annandale.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all that Joburg
So
South
yeah.
guys, yeah. And they also delivered some top fanciers out of that area.
Very, very
The
good one.
Joburg South, sure. So, yeah, I'd like to get their stories sometime. And
Oh, Joe Limos, there's another one.
yeah, he still races now.
He
eh?
races down at Mossel Bay.
He's in Mossel
Yeah.
Bay. Yeah. I think Larry's there as well.
Larry van Vuren, it
yes,
used to be
Larry's there,
Benoni.
yes, yeah. So Larry raced. What's the name came in here the other day? I was saying on the podcast, so if she watches, she's going to find out. Is Brian Paulson.
Oh, Brian,
So
yes. I
he's-
haven't seen him. I believe he's not very well healthy-wise.
He seems okay. Eh?
Is it?
But he says he's got birds at his
He's-
factory, but they're hidden away.
His wife mustn't know
No,
that.
So he says they're hidden away from his wife. She doesn't know that they're there. And he's going to enter the one lofts now. So I said,
Okay.
oh, Brian, at least you got an interest. He said, oh, you can't get it out of him.
No, you'll never get it
Nah.
out. Pigeon fancy, once you've had that
Yeah.
feathers in your hands, and you never get it out.
Brian, him and Lady were naughty together.
Oh. Don't throw Stookie away.
Oh, Stucky. He was also in the shop not too long ago.
Stookie's father, boyfriend, yes. Now those guys, and when you look at big fanciers there, the Allison, Jimmy
Yeah,
Allison.
Jimmy Allison,
Yeah,
yeah.
Elder.
He's, no, don't want to, his nephew was in the shop yesterday.
Okay.
Jimmy Allison. He flies in Dalmas or further. He's just started again now.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know you, but I've heard your uncle's name. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
He stayed next to, also, what's his fancier, what's his name? He died in a motor car accident. Drunk as a lord, went up the wrong way in the highway.
Yeah, that's the guy with the Van Rijn Klux. Was friends with Joe.
What's his name?
I know you're talking about.
No, he was a good fancier. He also worked 6 months a year. He works when there's no pigeons. Otherwise, his pigeons, just training pigeons.
What's the names also when they lived in when they flew in the Urf were good, the kitchen brands.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very good. Almain Bull and
That's
the
it.
Sons, they flew.
Yeah, the Sons made their name when they flew in Pretoria. Billy and,
That's right.
what you
Kevin.
call that? Kevin.
Yeah. But yeah,
Mark flew in Kempton, never really to anything, and then he went to Alberton.
yeah.
That's something that's also very important. That
Do you
I
think that positioning plays a
Yes,
part?
Yes. Position
I
is
think so.
very, very important. Egbert flew not that well until he moved to the right position, and then he flew like hell. That's
Yeah.
where he is now in Paris. He battled with Vereniging. You're not in position. You can't fly against those guys. I said that to Herman when he moved onto the farm, there where the loft is. You're going to battle. That
Although
now-
you had some good races there. Eh?
Yeah, you have, but you got to keep to win there.
Or to win the averages.
You got to be hot. And
Yeah.
I won the averages there 1 year in 2000. I won
Did you win the averages there?
in the Urf, but I must say the Urf was flying west that year when I won the
So
average.
you think that would have made the
And-
difference?
That was like totally unheard of.
Hadman would do okay. Hadman's a good fancier. you
Very,
know,
very good fancier. He's
because,
tried, he's flying like a champion, but it's not showing in the results as flying like a champion because of where he sits. You know, the way he continues, I speak under correction, but I think he's first, second, and third with a best bird average on the young birds or old birds this year on the short distance.
He's also one of the guys in the shop here that the guys rate on handling pigeons, on selection on hand.
Yeah.
They say Hadman's.
No, he knows. No.
He's one of the
Well,
few guys that know.
that's one of our big things that I've discussed with him. I said, there's no more guys that know pigeon by hand or hold it, can tell you this is a good one, that's a bad one.
Very
There's
few.
so many pigeons coming in, and the guys are looking at pedigrees, and
What is your opinion on all these pedigreed birds, Marius? Because
pedigrees,
whatever we say, they are making money.
they're making money. People are making,
You know, we can
they're
say what we
selling
want.
paper.
They're
And
selling them, they are making
so
good
sad
money.
to see that. I've had one person in here one day in the shop, and he was basically just about crying. He said, "I've paid so much money." And he brought out like a little silver suitcase. I thought, what's this now? You know, like a money bag case. And open it up, and here comes his pedigrees. He says, I bought these pigeons, these pigeons, these pigeons. I mated this one to this one, and this one to this one, and that and that. And they're no good. And I looked at him and I said to him, come, I'll show you something. This one. What did this pigeon do? No, that's the one I bought. I said, oh, it wasn't raced. No, it was bred selection for stock. Okay, it's father. Oh, yeah, that one, no, that was also selected for stock. That one, oh, that's your grandfather, great-grandfather. No, that is a double winner. I said, now you're looking at 4 generations. It hasn't been proved at all. Not one of those birds are proved. They've got the mating. It might just be still, but the golden thread is not there.
Not there.
It's not there. So
if you had to now compare these, call them the flavor of the month, pedigreed birds that are coming in, compared to some of your old birds that we were talking about just now, racing today, in comparison against each other today, would they compete? Do they compete?
still to be proven. I won the Fed last week with my old family.
And I'm sure you're flying against a lot of the new blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That when the chips are down, yeah, you hear of, ooh, this thing won.
Yeah.
Owen, very good marketer, very good pigeons.
Yeah.
And he buys a lot of good pigeons, and he spends a lot of money.
He does.
So there is, but if you go down the pedigree, the performance are very close to the final pigeon. So yes, there is, the quality is there. The golden thread is there. You must just find it.
Yeah.
And I'll say that outright. I'm sure out of 100 pigeons you buy from Alwyn, you're going to have not 99 good ones.
No, not with anybody. Yeah.
But yes, you're going to have a golden one in between them.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But maybe you're lucky and you buy just one and you buy the good one.
True.
So Alwyn is the guy that started with the one side of the kittles.
Yeah.
What's his name in Free State? He's got the best kittle,
kittles,
which is the others. I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see.
Alwyn's one came up with, what's his name? Barney.
Yeah, with
That had a good one there, that said kittle. I don't know of too many that has really stood out and shouted kittle, kittle all over the show. I know of a couple of guys that says we've crossed them and we've had very happy with the babies. They look like they're going to fly like hell. I look at Gijs's results. He buys the best of the best at the moment. I don't really...
Has he got kittles? I don't know if he's got those.
Yes, he will have.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will have.
I know, what's the name of a good one that's bred a few winners in our club is Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin's had a kittle, I think it was a red cock actually. And it bred a few winners in our club.
That will be
1 year.
the same side as the ones that Alwyn had.
Probably.
Almost probably the same.
Probably, yeah. So that I know for sure.
Yeah, because Alwyn's one comes out of that red pied cock.
Yeah, so
I think
it
that's
must
where...
be the same line,
Yeah,
those reds. And I know Kevin's one's bred good ones.
yeah.
But then Kevin's a good fancier as well. So
Well, you can have the best pigeons and be an idiot in the loft, you know. Look, old Cyril Leibach's famous saying, not only good blood in the veins, you've got to have a good tank full of petrol as well.
Yeah.
You've got to train them, got to toss them.
also a good fancier in his time, Cyril Leibach. Eh?
Excellent fancier. One of the better mutti men in the sense that he knew how to fix up a pigeon.
Yeah. Knowledge, very knowledgeable.
Very good, know how to motivate a pigeon.
Yes.
I'll say one of the best fanciers. You know, something that very few people know is Ben van As was always known as the guy that night flying and late night training. But he wasn't the originator of the idea. Cyril Leibach was the originator of that idea and trained pigeons to race at night in the darkness. I was with George Bolton on visiting him one year, also early in the season, and 9 o'clock that night, he says, let's go and train pigeons. And I thought, what the hell is he talking about? He stayed high up in Port Elizabeth, overlooking Port Elizabeth, and on the mountain, and his house was like a triple story into the mountainside.
Okay.
And on the bottom level was his swimming pool. And in the next level was the loft, up and down, double-story loft. But that was a flying loft. And then he had like a little terrace on the side. And we went down to that terrace, went to the loft, he chased the pigeons out, 9 o'clock at night, and they were training.
Sure.
And
First time I've heard of that.
yeah, no, and Cyril related one day a story to me, and that it also appeared in a magazine, the SA Pigeon, in could be 60, 70, around there. He was flying in Windhoek. Now, okay, Windhoek, you don't have power lines all over the show. You have much more open, flat country, or not flat, open country.
Yeah.
And they were having a braai, pigeon fanciers, they were flying a long-distance race. And the guys were all having a party at somebody's house. And Leibach was there, and they were enjoying this braai. And came to about 9 o'clock. He said, the birds will be here now soon, I better go home. And the guys laughed at him. And he went home and he started clocking pigeons, 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. Everybody was rushing around like mad idiots, and they couldn't believe. And then they came back to him and said, have you clocked another one? Yeah, I clocked another one, I clocked another one. And they were dropping in one after the other, and he was like they were flying a sunshine day.
Normal day.
That is the guy that originated.
So he started that. So you reckon that's, because I always thought it was either inbred into the birds, that they would just fly.
Yes,
determination that they would just fly through
That comes to eye color. Light eyes like to fly in darkness. They like to fly. You'll see that overnight, overcast. Yeah. Light eyes fly. Yeah. Bright sunshine. The young ardens will fly. The dark eyes.
The dark eyes.
Yeah, that's when they like to fly.
Talking about the eyes, do you like crossing them when you breed, or do you you don't mind?
No. As long as it's got two, one on the right and one on the left.
Sometimes it might not, eh?
Yeah, no, it's pigeon eye color. We're reading, when you look at an eye and it's healthy, it's bright and it's clear, that's a good pigeon, because it's a healthy pigeon.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, there's nothing in, I don't believe in anything in eye sign. That's to me a nice little conversation piece. That's it.
Yeah. Although a lot of people, there have been books written on eye sign and pigeons sold on eye sign, and people grade pigeons by eye sign.
George Bolton was one famous for eye sign. And
there was a Jack Barkle, do you remember?
Oh, Jack Barkle, yes. A lot of people wanted to kill the poor elk afterwards, but
he graded birds on eye sign.
Alvelbaard Rassie.
Yeah.
When George Bolton came up for his heart surgery, he had a bypass. Now, those days when he had a bypass, it was major.
Yeah.
And he had his bypass surgery, and he recuperated by his sister in Sunridge, in Primrose. And I used to go fetch him, and then he'll come to my loft here in Kempton Park, and he stayed here, I think, about a week, that I carried him backwards and forwards and whatever. And old George organized with old Rassie, Velbaard Rassie Erasmus. Now, that guy was eye sign mad. He had actually like a microscope to look at this eyes now. And he brought him out, and they came here, and the whole day they spent in my loft catching pigeons, looking at eye sign, looking at this and looking at that. Well, I flew a couple of good races in Kempton, and then I just looked at these guys, and they were going bananas.
All checking the eye sign.
Eyes, just eye sign.
Awesome. I think what we need to do one day, Marius, maybe is just give a little bit of a talk on the podcast. We'll have a bird just on the basics of what to look for. Just it's interesting that
You want to go back 20 years or 30 years,
yeah,
40 years.
when Neil and Graham and myself sat on your steps of your loft, then you gave us a little bit of a insight there. Because you know what, I feel a lot of guys, like I was then, and maybe even a bit still today, you take a bird and you look, but you don't really.
What you're seeing, what are you looking
What
at?
are you looking at?
Yeah. Now we can do that at some stage.
Yeah, because
And that's very important because
Yeah.
that's one thing that I look at the show guys and they're looking at wings, and I look at this guy and I say, what are you looking at?
yeah.
You know, do you know how to open a wing proper?
Or the tail, where you said the guy
No.
doesn't know how to open the tail. You know?
No, those things, guys should be
Those are just basic.
basic things you
Basic
should
things,
know.
yeah.
And why, how do you know if it's forward or backwards, the balance of a pigeon?
Yes.
If a
yeah.
pigeon's not balanced, it will never fly.
Yes, you know, you taught me that was when it comes to balance, and I've picked it up in most of his birds now, is Pedigrees.
Yeah,
His birds are balanced. Sure.
lovely. They handle lovely.
They handle beautifully.
Perfect.
But that's because he selected over the years
Exactly,
like that.
exactly, exactly.
So his family is like that now.
Yeah,
And they race.
they race.
They race. So I think
But
it's important.
As
You're
I
always
s-
going to get the odd one that's not going to adhere to the law of balancing and
But-
whatever.
But that's the odd one.
That's
And
the odd one,
don't
eh?
build a family around odds.
Odd one, yeah. That's what
It's-
Joe always says. He
Yeah,
doesn't want
no, if
the,
it's not fitting this, you know,
even if it must move, he wants them to fit his way.
that's it.
Yeah.
No, if it's, and that you can see. I always say that to guys. The winners are not extreme pigeons.
Yeah, the extremes, yeah.
They haven't got huge wings. They haven't got huge tails. They haven't got bright eyes, big eyes, small eyes. They're not all blue eyes. They're not all checkers.
Yeah.
It's the very, very average pigeon. And I mean by that, he'll be average of everything.
Yeah.
But he'll be perfect.
Yeah,
Because
so he's
the
balanced.
average makes the total balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No, I think very, very good note to end off on. Very good words. Thank you very much for coming along, Marius.
That's a
I don't want
pleasure.
to take much more of your time here, but we're going to get you back.
That's it.
Have we got a commitment from you that we're going to have you back? Because it's difficult to get you here.
No problem.
Okay.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marius.
It's a pleasure, my buddy.
Thanks, sir.
Good luck.